They can hear us.
And now
we are
They can hear us.
live.
We are officially live.
Crazy.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to Out of Game, the Slenderverse after show. This is a delightful room of people. I am so excited and just myself 10 years ago, my mind would have been blown. This is incredible. Everyone, please go ahead, go around the room, introduce yourselves.
In no particular order.
In no particular
In
order.
no particular order.
All right.
Well,
Tim.
My name's Tim Sutton from Marble Hornets, as it says under the screen. I'm very happy to be here with everyone else that's here, including the chat. Thank you. And thank you for inviting me, Alex, and everyone else.
Thank you for being here.
How you seeing a chat? Where's the chat at?
It's
it's in
What?
the hold on, I'll drop you a link. I'll drop you a link right in here.
Drop a link.
Where are you about seeing this?
Yeah, it's on the Twitch page.
Oh.
Yeah.
So we're doing Twitch and we're doing Discord. What the fuck?
Yeah, I know it's a little bit nuts. It's a little nuts.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Well, I mean,
Okay.
you don't have to do the Twitch if you want to, unless you want to see the chat. Unless you just want to see us and nobody else.
exactly.
I'll do both. I'll do both if that's the.
Okay, great. Awesome.
Well, my name is Evan Jennings. I was in Everyman Hybrid, co-creator of Everyman Hybrid, and I'm stoked. I don't know what this is, but I'm fucking stoked for it. What is it, Q&A kind of thing? Like, what are we doing?
It's a Q&A discussion panel.
Mhm.
All right, man. I'm down. Let's
Hell
do
yeah.
it.
Hell
Let's
yeah.
do it.
I guess I'll jump in. So I'm Rain. You're unlikely to know who I am because these people are all so much cooler than I am. But I do like
Ah,
producing and research consultingship stuff for Alex, and have put way too much time into getting this stream up. So hi, nice to meet you. all.
Rain has been working so hard to get Out of Game set up for the last 2 weeks, and Rain also produced all 3 episodes of the docuseries.
Hmm.
It's pain.
we cheer our producers and tech people.
Exactly.
Unsung heroes.
For real.
I'm Doc Cairo. I did a series called compileTRUTH back in the day, which you might have seen briefly at the end. And yeah, I friends with Evan. I also long time ago ran SlendermanMythos.com when that was a thing, but sadly not anymore.
But you still, it's a moment in time. Like as we're transitioning into the questions and openings and things like that, I also want to just thank the mod team in general, which we pulled you guys together last minute, and you've come up with so much for this stream. The overlay that we're on right now was made by my friend Sage, or I think on everything they're either Special Herbal Tea or Exorcist Herb. And like this would not have happened at all if they hadn't been like, hey, I'm gonna volunteer to give you this overlay.
Well, it looks terrific, so
sorry.
props to that.
Yeah, no, it really fucking turned out.
It really
for
does.
1 day of work. Leia Liebezeller behind me, or Play Scholar, is going to be managing most of the Q&A stuff as far as like sending us questions, and also, has just been helping me stay sane. And then we have Trombone Knuckles. I am still learning your friend's name, who is also one of our mods, Alex.
Ghost, aka Spencer.
Spencer. Ghost or Spencer.
Yes.
And Circle Hunter, or otherwise known as the person who runs the Jujuzable Wiki, if you're a Ben Drowned fan. So I think that's everybody. Thank you all literally so much. You were keeping this alive, period.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yes.
So format for tonight, our lovely audience, is the first half we have questions prepared. The second half we are taking your questions. So if you have questions, dump them in the chat over the course of the next roughly 50 minutes. Our lovely moderators will record them and send us the best to ask this lovely panel of guests a thought.
Indeed.
Yeah. And with that, we are off. So, Alex, I guess the first place to start is how are you feeling after the premiere of your docuseries?
I'm feeling very good. I am overwhelmed by the reception. This whole thing has gotten so big, honestly. From the trailer announcement to people reposting the trailer on TikTok and getting hundreds of thousands of
Oh my
views. to Nick posting about the documentary and having our lovely after show here, having hundreds of followers before our first stream even happens, and causing us to scramble and go, oh my god, we need more moderators. So this has been a whirlwind of an experience, and also a delightful experience as a whole, and I cannot wait for the next 2 weeks of more documentary.
My stress levels have not come down from it high enough to remember to let Nick introduce himself.
Right, yes.
Who
yes.
graciously raided and also
Absolutely.
kept the stream
Yes.
going for an extra hour.
So true.
We skipped it.
Hey, marathon work is what I do. But thank you. Hey, you know what that's like now. Honestly, after putting on a whole production for this docuseries, looking at all the work that was done back in the day by people in the Slenderverse, including the personnel that we have here, I'm sure now you very much understand what it was like back in the day to just get up and go all the time and produce, especially under conditions of, I'm out in the woods, it's a long shoot, the goddamn mosquitoes are out. But cheers to you and all the work that you put into this. Cheers to Alex. Cheers to everybody being here. Hello, I am Nick Nocturne of Nightmind on YouTube, a channel that would not exist if it were not for the people here and their amazing creations. Genuinely. I don't know if I'd have a channel if it were not for Marble Hornets, EMH, the Slenderverse in general. Don't know what I'd be doing. And if you had told me back in 2015 that this would be in my future, I don't know how I would have reacted. I would have just probably shaken my head and said, I don't know if I worked hard enough for that. So thank you so much. It is an honor, a delight, and a privilege to be here. And there's a point that did raise in chat, I guess, just because chatters will need it, and just in general knowledge. I guess pronouns all around for questions, comments, everything.
That's a good point. Yes, we should have put pronouns on the overlay now, I'm realizing too. That's an update for next time. So my pronouns are they, them. Kick
My
to
pronouns
you.
are also they, them.
Our lovely guest.
Ian.
Just he, hims for me.
Him.
Yep.
The upper part of the overlay is all he, hims, and the lower part is all
The upper part of the overlay, it's
All just he, hims.
Absolutely.
it's all dudes in here. I mean, we're all dudes, you know, all that philosophy. You're a dude, she's a dude, he's a dude, we're all dudes. But there we go. Now we've got it for a proper use.
Oh.
Thank you,
I'm
Jennings, for
trapped in
propping it up.
he, him hell.
I love that phrase. Oh my god.
Somebody in chat said himbos versus thembos.
Oh my god.
Should we open with like who would win in a fight to the death? Is that the opening after show question?
Sorry, what?
Conversation.
I'm not fighting habit. No.
opening
I'm
question is
a
what?
super beast, but not compared to that.
I used to play a game back when I lived with all my buddies. When we'd have nothing to do, I'd be like, all right, the game is how would you kill me? And someone has to ask somebody, how would you kill me? But it has to be like detailed, and then you have to like retort, and you have to come up with a solid plan. You know what I mean? That would succeed and that you could get away with. And I I love that game. That's a fun
Oh my
game.
god, that does sound like a fun game. That's such a you
Because,
game.
yeah, they'd be
too.
like, oh, I don't know, I'd shoot you, and it's like, do you own a gun? They're like, no. Like, so you're gonna go buy a gun just for this? Like, no, I guess I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, how are you gonna do it? Like, what do you do?
I like
It's
to
like,
make
yeah,
sure
no, I'm
every-
serious. Think this through. I'm not playing games here, pal.
That's exactly how we treat it. That's the goddamn video.
Dry ice into your bed, and then I use a blanket to block the thing, and then you
Mhm.
suffocate with carbon dioxide.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one. That's a good one.
all murder must be premeditated when it involves Evan Jennings.
You better cover the plan.
It better be Dexter Morgan levels of thinking your shit through.
You better know what you're doing.
I'm just distracting with something. I don't know. I'll probably die quick. Look at this film. I'm done.
Oh no. The first of the questions that the mods really wanted to throw at me and you was, what's your favorite Taylor Swift album? So
Oh my
just to hit you
God.
with all the weird shit right up front.
So on topic, of course.
Yeah, well,
Um,
they picked it specifically for you, just so you know.
I will go last. I would love to hear everyone else's answers on this one.
I don't listen to Taylor Swift, so you're all.
Is Taylor Swift the one that used to be like a country singer girl, like a Miley
Yeah.
Cyrus?
Yes, yes.
That's the same one. I don't think I've heard a single song.
I find it
this-
unlikely,
was this-
but
Was this the one that was on a ball, wrecking ball?
no,
No,
was
that's
Miley
Miley.
Cyrus.
No. Well, isn't that her?
No, Taylor Swift is not the same person as Miley Cyrus.
Taylor Swift
I
is
thought
the
it
one
was the
that
same
you would usually
person,
see
yeah.
with acoustic guitar.
Okay.
Which
I don't think
my
I know.
favorite is whichever one is least likely to prompt her fans to kill me. Whichever one that is, that's
Valid
my
answer.
favorite.
Songs equally. They're also good.
Second
Look at
verse,
me.
same
Do I look
verse.
like I have a favorite? Come on.
Yeah, I figured this question was probably dead in the water with this group. I will say mine is Reputation, just for the record, but we can move on.
Yeah, we absolutely can, but I could not ask it, because
Of
the
course.
mods were sitting there
Sure,
trying to come
sure.
up with as many as they could just to mess with you.
Uh-huh.
She got me with 1989, but Midnight's is a strong
Yes!
contender that ready
Yes!
for filth.
Yes, we got a Nick answer.
I'm
That's a good
sorry!
answer.
I'm
It's a
sorry,
good
lads!
answer.
I'm
It's
sorry!
a good answer.
I have varied musical taste, and she got me, man. She got me.
Yes.
We're living up to himbos and thembos. Oh my god.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that wasn't very heated of you.
Yeah,
Like
see,
he's
chat-
supposed to.
Chat knows what's up. I already see somebody asking me what my favorite Devo song is. Okay, somebody's been following me for too long. It's Smart Patrol, by the way. Anyway, continue.
So the first serious question that we got from the mods was essentially, given all of your individual relationships to the creature that is the Slender Man and the myth that is the Slender Man, from your own vantage points, how do you see public perception of the creature having changed over the last 15 years or so? Oh, 15 years exactly, actually. Well, a few days. But, and you can take this from any angle that you want, but I'm not sure what angle they meant for it to be, so.
Very broad. Very broad.
Yeah, no, they really hit us with a big one right off the bat. But
It came from the internet, and it shall stay on the internet. I think any attempts to breach it tend to, well, I feel like I don't need to say any more with that. As far as we saw what presumably some people, I didn't, but we've seen what the big budget version is like. So I think he's ours, whether the actual rights holders want him to be or not.
Yeah. Yeah, we
I
stole
kinda
him.
have
He's
a
ours.
interesting take
By
on
us,
that.
I mean the collective we, chat included. Anyone, if you're watching
course.
this, yes, you also.
You also. Yes. Doc Cairo, I
Um,
would love to hear your answer.
So the thing is, I remember being on Unfiction when somebody showed up. Can't remember what his name is now, but he showed up and he's like, "Hey guys, I'm making a game, and here's the beta. Can you give me some feedback on it?" And it was the original Slender the 8 Pages.
Shit.
And so seeing that just explode afterwards was kind of crazy, because for a long time I was hearing a lot of "Oh, it's from that game." And I think a lot of people who were not around during the heyday of it, people know it from the game more than anything, which is kind of weird, but it's okay. But yeah, I definitely think that once all the Let's Players got a hold of it, it kind of just became more of a it got more popular, but it also lost some of the scariness.
Absolutely, absolutely. And something interesting about the 8 Pages game is it does seem to have staying power more than almost anything else surrounding the Slender Man. Especially going into creating this docuseries, and particularly when getting my crew involved for all of the live action shooting that we did. I would go to them and be like, "I'm making this docuseries about Slender Man." And the ones who weren't like, "What's Slender Man?" would be like, "Oh, from that game." And this is 2023. Post the various news events, post the movies, You know, so I do find that very interesting. That actually, like, the thing that has stuck around is still that video game, even to this day.
Yeah, I was just talking when we were watching the documentary. I was just talking to Amanda, and I was like, you know, there's people that I've met, that I've talked to, that I've hung out with, that know Slenderman and don't know anything about any of us, about Marble Hornets, about Everyman Hybrid. They just know the Slenderman. It's probably from that game, or just like internet memes in general. Like there's gifs of him and stuff like that that I think people just have no frame of reference for. They're just like, oh, that's just Slenderman. It's this spoopy man. You know what I mean? And they just don't know what it is. And so I think it kind of, true to form is how it started. It just sort of took on a life of its own, you know what I mean, and has outlived everybody that's kind of touched it, which is kind of cool. You know, I kind of like that. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's neat that, like, that thing that was birthed or that started is still there. You know what I mean? On its own, it can still stand on its own. Personally, I still think it kind of fucking spooky. You know what I mean? When we were watching the documentary and you were going over like the old like Victor Surge posts and like the things that were written, I was like, oh, that isn't selling. You know what I mean? It's like 14 children disappeared, and it's like, look back there, fuck that. You know what I mean? Like, and there's something I think that's cool about that, where though he's gone through a bunch of iterations and changes, and everybody's, you know, he was, like they said, an open source monster, and everybody's kind of had a turn at taking a shot at him. I think the core of what it is hasn't really changed. You're just a big, weird, tall, faceless creep. And I don't know, I kind of like that. You know what I mean? Like, he's just still the same, to me, I guess.
No, that is so very true. And Tim, would you like to jump in here?
Oh, well, yeah, I was just going to say, yeah, I think, I mean, you know, it's been a long time at this point, but, you know, I do think that character still has potential and for new things to be done with it. And I also think, because of its open source nature and because of, you know, it's so many people taking a crack at it, I say this after I'm mainly saying this after having watched Marble Hornets for the first time in years back in 2020 on Twitch, whenever the first major COVID outbreak was going on, and sort of like, it was like turning a critical eye on this thing that I was also in and wrote, and it was almost like doing psychoanalysis on myself. And so that sort of made me also feel like Slenderman is sort of like, he's kind of a Rorschach test for whoever's making the whatever series. Like, he's kind of like whatever the reverse of Death of the Author is.
That is
That's a good way to put it.
Reverse.
But also,
yeah, I like that.
Okay.
And also, like, just as far as the original question goes, I guess I should also just kind of say, like, if it seems like, I mean, there's several reasons why, you know, I and me and the other Marble Hornets guys have always kind of been the odd ones out as far as like the Slenderverse goes. And I think probably the biggest reason is that, to me, when I think of Slenderman, it's still like, the first thing I think of is like the Something Awful forums is the first thing I think of still, because that's all there was whenever we first started having to like think about this thing. So I'm like, oh yeah, Slenderman from the Something Awful forums, the same place where we helped fund the Kickstarter for the hot dog restaurant, you know. Like, those are the associations that I have. Like, to me, I associate Slenderman with like Grover House or whatever, or like the guy who, you know, like the guy carrying a printer like across town, you know, just whatever, all those kind of things.
Oh, what a beautiful
so yeah, Slenderman is in the same Venn diagram as Benghazi to me.
I love that. The two pieces of folklore, the Slender Man and also load-bearing drywall.
Load-bearing drywall, Doobie's Doghouse. Are you familiar with Doobie's Doghouse?
I listened to Ben Widsey, so yes.
Oh, okay, terrific. that may have to be for the after show, episode 4 or whatever.
Hell
Something awful lore needs to have would need its own thing, I think. But yeah, that load bearing drywall, all that kind of. But yeah, Slenderman is in there for me. Is kind of where if I had to draw like a mental association map or anything. If I was doing the threads on my wall, you know, with the pins and stuff, he'd be right next to, you know, the cartoon frog holding a hot dog.
That's incredible, and that's so funny. There's
a connotation.
There's a dichotomy there between your answer and Evan's answer, which is yours is something awful forums thing, and Evan's is now it's like this myth that just comes from the ether at this point, which I think is really funny, and I think it is really interesting that Slenderman has kind of evolved in this way, where like there were people there at the very start who literally were like boots on the ground helping build it. And know it as like this collectively created, like basically just internet oddity. And then fast forward 15 years to now, and it's like, you know, it's on the same level as like Dracula or something, like just this mythic figure, this creature of folklore that like it does have a defined origin, but like it also to most people actually doesn't, like at least not in a relevant sense.
I mean, there's no reason why my version and Evan's version should be mutually exclusive. I mean,
no.
Many times the mythical things can come from the dumbest places.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason why this should be any different.
Absolutely.
Infinite stories of people going back to old, you know, very obviously spoof content from, you know, any amount of internet history, and suddenly, because enough time has passed that the original context has been lost, going, well, you know, this seems real in some way. And I think there's something to be said for how something can be both a meme and also productive of belief in itself. Like there's something about imagining a world where we've moved away from Web 2.0 enough that like YouTube videos no longer make a lot of sense, or 4chan's layout no longer makes a lot of sense. And so, you know, but the Slenderman still persists in the same way that like something like Polybius still exists and persists.
Hey, Livy, you can be up here. Sorry.
I also kind of think of him as kind of, to me, the character kind of embodies the kind of what you said, like the birth of the Web 2.0 kind of way, or sort of like he appeared right as we were transitioning to the social media era, right? Like Facebook was still fairly new. Like, I mean, Twitter was still fairly new. Like, I think, I mean, I don't think I'd heard of Twitter because it started in like 2007, I think. But I didn't make an account, but like Troy made one for Marble Hornets, and I think like I didn't even have an account until like 2011. So it's just sort of like whenever the internet started to become whatever the hell this is, he's like right there in the. Maybe he's why the internet sucks so much now. Maybe he's cursed it. You ever think of that? Maybe he's the ghost in the machine.
Slenderman bullied
It's
us.
over.
You
It's
know
all
what?
coming back.
Everywhere he showed up, the website turned into a giant apartment complex where no individuality was retained. So you know what? I think you've got a point.
Somehow NFTs are his fault. I can feel it in my bones.
Yep.
Maybe he is the
original
blockchain. He's the
Slenderman's
blockchain.
the blockchain. That's it. After all these years, we figured it out.
Figured it out. Found it.
Oh no. To cycle back around to something that came up though, I do think it's worth like, you know, to go back to like the idea that there's a portrait of the creator that comes in attempting to depict the Slenderman, right? Like so many, and this is specifically to Tim and Evan more than anything, but it certainly comes up in compileTRUTH to some extent, I think, as well. It's like this pervasive attitude that what the Slenderman does is agitate existing mental health issues and force people to have to engage with them in a way that is incredibly difficult. And, you know, for me, at least, it's one of the more powerful metaphors the character has in its pocket. But I was wondering if you guys had anything to say about what that, depicting that and engaging with that was like for you all.
Or maybe he manifests the mental conditions that you didn't realize you had, which, whom amongst us, right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
No comment.
I'm
Oh, that's
saying-
what that is. Oh, there's a name for that. Okay, interesting.
I think like the whole thing with when I did compileTRUTH was like, okay, so the whole thing about the Slenderman is he is powered by the unknown, essentially. In a world where we are more and more connected, especially with the internet now, where you could hypothetically learn everything, he is something that cannot be quantified, cannot be defined. So my character started off under the premise of, okay, we're going to try and define him as much as possible, which was kind of playing into some of the like the core theory blog ideas, but you know, on like a less meta level as far as like trying to like come up with like a plan to beat him kind of thing, but more like just define it. And then when I did the compilation videos as well, that was also to me trying like, hey, there's all these different things out there, you know. And I wanted to be able to draw attention to like, hey, so you know this is a net connection between these two things that you didn't even notice before, and just try and like kind of establish that shared universe more. But then of course you know the way it ended, which I did not end the way I intended it to, but it did at least get the reveal out that you know. No, it is not specifically that he's unknown. It was more of a, you know, the more you know, the more in danger you are kind of thing. So.
I think that's a pretty common pattern. Is the more like the closer you get to it, the more it starts unraveling everything, you know, around you or whatever. Like old. Like any monster story, or I think any monster movie, the closer you get to the thing, the more fucked you are. You know what I mean? And with him, I like the idea, like what you're saying, where it starts messing with, you know, either previously existing or unknown, you know, mental issues or whatever, or maybe it makes them. Like, you know what I mean? He makes you sick. You know, like he comes in and he fucks you up. You know, like maybe you weren't a fucking maniac. Maybe you didn't want to hurt people. Maybe you didn't want this. But here he comes, and now suddenly, you know what I mean? Bones need to be broken, or whatever the fuck he's doing to you, you know? And I like both answers. I like the idea that you don't know exactly what the effect is. Was it you? You know what I mean? And did he just sort of open the door, or did he make you horrible? Make you into a monster? You know, where does that lie? I like that. I like that it's never like really answered. When I make stories, I like to try to like I gotta figure out what it is. But with him, that was something Vinny and Jeff kept pulling me back from. I'd be like, well, wait, but how does it work? And they're like, that's the point. Like, you know what I mean? Like you don't. There is. That's not what we're here to do. You can't know how it works. I'm like, oh, okay, that's worse. And they're like, it's fucking way scarier. I like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't know. I kind of like both. I kind of like where it's like, oh, you were all already pieces of shit, and I just made you worse. Or you were just people. You were just people, and when I showed up, I ruined your fucking life. You know what I mean? I turned you into monsters. Which both are horrific, I think, and terrifying. The latter, I think, is much scarier than the former. The former is pretty good, but anything can trigger mental health. A lot of things can, but the fact that you can make an otherwise happy, healthy human being into a fucking maniac, or just drive them into the depths of hell, you know what I mean? That's much worse. You know, I like that. That's pretty fucked.
I think this is the only question that we've taken so far, so I'll be quick about this one. But just my other thing is the way I look at him is really more of I only think of it in hindsight, but to me, especially as talking of him as a creature of a particular time and place, like the premise, at least for our version anyway, which was there's a faceless man on the other side of the internet that's watching everything you do, and the only way you can win is to log off. I feel like we maybe were we may have been ahead of the curve on some things.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know about you all, but I wasn't really thinking that way in 2009. But
We're thinking about how horrifying it is, and it is.
Yeah.
It is horrifying, and the truth of it is just as scary.
There is, yeah, there is something that comes out of this discussion that relates to the former discussion that I'm realizing now. And it strikes at the idea of exacerbation of mental illness or anything that's going on with you, in the question of, did it inspire it or did it make you worse when it comes to Slenderman, which was raised during the doc, where some people saw him almost as a Lovecraftian kind of monster, in which the mythos, you have the dual aspect of it is the unknown, you cannot really know it, and it also drives you fucking insane. Is it driving you insane because you are trying to know the unknowable, or is it that simply its nature? But when we discuss that portion of it, and think about the strength of the monster in that context and its effects, it does bring us back to the previous discussion about its impact today and how people view it, as well as back during the heyday when all this kicked off, is what was it really that got us in the first place? We looked at it and said, what the fuck is that? It is the unknowable. And then everybody wrote stories about trying to figure it out, attempting to know it, and that driving them to madness. So I would say that that has still endured to this day, where you see it and it comes back to, I know where it's from, but I can't explain it. I can't give you an origin story like Freddy
Yeah.
Krueger or Jason Voorhees. It just is, and it messes you up. Don't get close.
Well, I don't even think those two definitions necessarily need to be mutually exclusive. Like, I mean, nature can also exacerbate your mental issues if you drink standing water in the wrong place. I'll tell you that. So, it's like, I those don't necessarily need to be separate, I don't think. Perhaps
Next
he's
question.
partly nature's hostility. I don't know. I'm rambling now. I've been awake since like 4 o'clock in the morning. I apologize.
Oh,
Completely understandable. Thank you for staying
all
up for
good.
this.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you for having me.
This is delightful. Rain, do we have an?
We have so many questions.
Let's get to it.
Get him.
Do you
Let's
want
get
a
'em.
silly one or a great one? They both
Ooh, I'll leave it up
exist.
to-
Okay,
I'll
fine.
Silly
One
first.
One of the stupid questions that was in there, again, the mods, thank you so much for this. Which SCP, or we could just expand that, what monster would you beat up with a baseball bat? I can't
What
imagine
monster
what would have
could
inspired
you
this.
Yeah, who inspired this one?
How many baseball bat wielding people do we have in the history of these stories?
I
Surprisingly
could fuck up
few.
a vampire with a baseball bat. Fuck vampires. I could fuck up a I'd fuck up a vampire. Are you kidding me? Fuck them. But SCPs, I don't know. SCPs, I know there's dumb ones like the tickling jelly, but like, oh, I'm not gonna hurt him. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a little guy.
He's
But
just
like
a little
the
guy.
the
Is it because you're scared of the tickling jelly? Is that why?
maybe
Is it because you're scared?
maybe that's my
Okay.
phobia. But the giant perpetually rotting immortal lizard monster, like the fuck you gonna do against that? No fucking way. Like, yeah, I don't even know. The teleporting rust man that pulls you into a fucking hell dimension. That's fucked. I don't know about an SCP, man. I'm sure there's an SCP that's just like a
Who
normal
I could
guy.
actually take.
What if the bat is anomalous, though? What if it's an SCP item?
Ooh, special bat.
Special
Bat.
bat.
Okay,
What
like the
attribute are you
ice
gonna
cream
give it?
truck. I could hit an ice cream truck a bunch of times with a baseball bat. You know what I mean? But the ice cream truck can pull you into the back. I don't know. You know what? The mask.
Dangerous.
They put on a mask and they turn into zombies. I could beat him to death with a. It's just a guy. It's just a person with a mask on.
So true.
You know, it's like a zombie and it's strong, but like I think you can just kill him. I don't know enough.
I'm a monster, but I don't think I want to. That's the only one I could think I could take.
Which
You
one?
know, I don't think I could take this one, but I would like to go one-on-one with the Rake with a baseball bat. Not because I would win, just because I think it would be a fun way to die.
That's another one where I don't think he dies good. Like I think
Probably
you bust
not.
him up and he cricks right back to. You know
Oh,
what I
yeah.
mean? He breaks
No,
all his bones
absolutely.
back. Ooh, shit.
Yeah.
I only ever read the like 2 SCPs, and I just remember the one of the weird looking thing standing leaning against the wall. I could probably flip that thing over. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, the statue, yeah.
Well, the statue's bit. But he's like all concrete. I think he weighs like 1,000 pounds.
Well, you said
Though
we
he's
could
got
have like a
little leg.
hammer or something, right?
That's true. And if
baseball
you don't blink,
Yeah.
you're good. If you keep your eyes
Okay.
open the whole time, you got him. Or if somebody's like watching your back, then you could definitely kill him.
Mhm.
Probably.
Hmm.
I don't know how he dies. Does he die? Cairo, does he die?
No.
Shit.
No.
Damn.
Cairo knows. Cairo is my encyclopedia in life. I just ask him questions and he knows the answer. No, but if you break his legs, then he's got to crawl after you. He's probably a little bit slower.
A good strategy.
Yeah. If he walks.
Totally. Nick, what's your answer? You haven't weighed in.
Oh god, there's so many SCPs that I've covered. It's like, okay, you could take the Builder Bear with a baseball bat. If you're in a Cousin Johnny situation, the baseball bat won't even help you. You just pray. That won't help you either. You could possibly kill the entire Dr. Wondertainment line with a baseball bat. Thinking about, here's what I think of your collection. Systematically kill each Dr. Wondertainment doll with a bat. But no, just in general, it's like most of these things, a bat's not going to help you. But it would be hysterical if there is somewhere in the wiki, there is an anomalous bat. I would love to find out what it does.
I just imagine it
I'm gonna
applies
look it up.
home run to anything you hit. I don't know what that means.
Oh
but-
my god, I'd love to see that. Hey, that changes the game though.
It does.
Anything that you meet, it doesn't matter if it's the statue. You hit that thing with the home run anomalous bat, it's gonna fly.
Don't you just
Yeah.
put Super Smash Brothers in between the two bookcase things, let you go into things, and then you get a home run bat.
Or maybe it just makes you obsessed with baseball. So Nick, you would just pivot to being like, you would make the exact same
God.
kind of content you do now. It would just be
Baseball
baseball
related.
oriented. Yeah.
Just
With the
all
same
baseball
tone
all
and
the
everything.
time.
Same tone, yeah.
I'd be doing the Stephen King side thing.
There's
I'd be doing the
definitely
Stephen King thing where it's like, all right, listen, I know horror is my wheelhouse, but come over here, so I'm gonna teach you all about the history of the Boston Red Sox.
there has to be
Oh
a
yeah, the
niche
dark side
for-
of Major League Baseball. You could do that. I bet somebody
yeah.
has to.
It's all
I'm
There
sure
about
has
there's
to
a
be
lot
a
of
niche
people.
for like a spooky midnight baseball YouTuber. Like there has to be a niche for that.
Okay.
It's an untapped market, to be sure.
Untapped, definitely.
Yeah.
That's a good name for
Gotta have a
something.
backup
I don't
plan.
know what. But I like the name
Untapped
Midnight
market?
Baseball.
Midnight baseball.
Midnight,
I do like that.
So
Midnight Gospel was really good.
So pivoting off of another question they have here, which is specifically about EMH, but I think we could ask it more broadly and get somewhere interesting. So the Slenderverse has a very particular relationship to music, and I don't know that this really comes up in the course of it. Maybe it came up in your interviews, but I don't think it came up in the course of like the edited final doc. But like EMH has a very particular relationship to music, in that you guys sure went balls to the wall on just putting stuff in everything you made. But I mean, in terms of sound design and in terms of music in general, I mean, I guess there's a question here about like, what is the lasting impact of the Slenderverse on sound design, and where do you guys see your series as influencing where a lot of niche internet horror sound design has gone?
I think when it comes to it, I think everybody is inspired by music. I don't know about you guys, but when I listen to music, I see little movies in my head. You know what I mean? So putting music to scenes and stuff just feels right. And a lot of times, I mean, you don't even have to be planning it. Play the next time you're playing a video game, right? Play some Dead Rising shit and put on some music and it'll go to it. Like it just flows that way. You know what I mean? I remember playing Resident Evil Village with my cousin, and we put on we were just having a music play, and Mad World came on when you fought the fish in the lake, and he's like, there's a scene where you're floating down, and we're listening to it, and we're both just like, oh, like whoa, it made it so much better, and music just makes it better. The problem with music and movies and things like that is some of the best music out there is copyright, right? So you can't use it in like big movies unless it's like Guardians of the Galaxy, right, where they went hard with their sound. And however you feel about Guardians of the Galaxy as a movie, it's okay, but the way they melded music to the movie, that's it. That's the shit, man. You got these crazy fucking action scenes to great music, slow-mo shit to like funny music. It there's so many ways that you can do it to evoke emotion in people, and I think it just amplifies whatever you're watching. So we would put music in there because, one, those songs helped us come up with stuff. You know, we're listening to those songs, and that's how we came up with a lot of fucking ideas. Was just music, and then put the music to the thing. Some of them, the music had like specific lyrics, so we put it in there because it's like, listen to the song that's in the background, you kind of get maybe an idea of what's going on also, you know, or get like a different insight into it. In one of our scenes there was Monster Magnet, and it was
Oh yeah.
it wasn't their big one. Baby Goddardam or something it was called. I can't remember. I love the song, but
Demerung, maybe?
what
That
was it?
sounds familiar. Baby got a Demerung, like the German word. That sounds familiar.
Yeah. And it's a great song, and in it, he's speaking about like things happening again. Like I you know, watch. I'd have to re-listen to it. I haven't listened to it in years. But you know, usually everybody listens to Space Lord because it's a great song. But that's not what we were listening to. And there's like lines in it that talk about like repeating and like filling your head until it explodes from like the TV and shit like that. And that was just playing on in the background. I think it was in the scene where I'm like in my skull shirt and I'm talking to Vinny and I'm like, I'm gonna show you shit, fuck you, you know what I mean? And I'm in his room, like,
I know that's. Yep.
right, and you know,
God,
with
because
my
the music was so
grease
strong
hair.
when that entered. Yeah.
Yeah,
It really set the tone. It made it different.
Yes, and listen to the song, and the lyrics are talking about some shit that has something to do with our story. And so that was something I liked. As far as, I don't think it inspired shit. I think everybody knows that. I think everybody feels that shit. When you listen to music, it reminds you of something. And I think that's really just it. Like, then you put what matches to what you like, and it just flows. It just makes it better. But oh, that's why we did it. And we decided we wanted to put in copyright music, and we're like, we're never going to be able to make money on it. We were like, oh, fuck it. We just did it anyway. And I think YouTube just guts it, you know what I mean? So half of it's probably all gone anyway, but whatever. It was good while it was there, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I have maybe an interesting answer to this. Music is really important to me in filmmaking, just kind of in general. Even going back to here's a reference to my ARG Walker Creek. There was definitely, I used a lot of music in that, and I will say one of the places, not the only place, but one of the places I got the idea was EMH, because you know, I saw them utilizing music in their videos, which is something that I feel like a lot of other ARGs didn't really do. And I found it fascinating that it was just kind of like, it was something I wanted to do, and then I saw that, and it was like something clicked. I was like, oh, you can do that, and like it works. So you know, from like that early project of mine, music's been very important. And going into this docu-series, you know, it was an interesting challenge because we're doing a Slenderman thing, but it's also a documentary, and so obviously you're gonna have music, and sort of figuring out what the soundscape of Slenderman is, for like a score for a feature film, or over the course of 3 feature films, right?
Mm-hmm.
And trying to figure out, you know, what actually sounds right for the character, for the story that's being told. And I think that applies to Slenderverse stories themselves as well, for people who want to use music. You know, I know Stan Frederick had very prominent use of music, and that's one of my favorite aspects of that series, is that it really has this special ability to set the tone, and sort of create these really special moments, especially if it's, you know, not used too commonly in those like found footage stories, where it's, you know, really this sort of like special moment to really make something more interesting. But more broadly, you know, going back to like EMH's music or Stan Frederick's music, and there were things I kind of drew from that in terms of the general tone, and like some of the songs are kind of spooky, some of them are kind of like weirdly upbeat. So you know, that was really actually helpful in sort of figuring out what the soundscape of the documentaries are going to sound like. And then also just over the course of the episodes, you know, what does Slenderman sound like as music? And you can actually go back. There's some really interesting stuff going back to like 2009, of people like right after those Something Awful forums posts came out, of people making music for Slenderman, like doing, you know, like 5-10 minute like orchestral pieces inspired by Slenderman. And they seem to fall into 2 categories, which is they're either like very kind of electronic-y, ambient, like distortion-y kind of tracks, or they're like strings. which I think is very fitting. It feels very woodsy. It feels very kind of ominous and spooky. To use like violins and basses and things like that. So those were kind of the two camps the three camps, right? The strings, the electronic music, and then the kind of the different types of music used in Slenderverse series.
Yeah,
I actually have. Oh, sorry.
I was real quick. I cannot remember the name for the life of me, but I remember reading a blog at one point where the character was a musician, and they were writing original pieces and posting them on YouTube and like
Ooh,
embedding
that's
them on the
cool.
blog. But I cannot remember the life of me.
Incredibly cool.
That's really
If
fun.
I find it, I'll let you know.
I actually do have a copy of an album that came out. I think it came out in 2009. I don't know anything about the artist. I just kind of found it by accident. But the artist name was Kate, but with an H, like Khate. And one of the tracks on the album is called "The Slenderman." And like Alex was saying, yeah, it's very like kind of ambient electronic, sort of a electronic-y found sounds kind of thing. I would put it on while I was writing fairly often, now that I think about it, but it was not the only thing, but it was definitely up there. So I don't know if you can even still find that album. I managed to snag a vinyl copy back in the day, so I do still have it in my house somewhere, but it's out there. So yeah, that's one of many, I guess.
So someone in the chat actually recognized that. I don't know how you pronounce it exactly. Hozuzukuri.
Oh,
but,
nice.
Yeah, it's still around like the uploads and stuff. But I thought
Cool.
those were really good tracks when I heard them.
And like, you know, also just to kick it over to Nick if I can here, which is to say, like, I mean, I imagine that, and tell me if I'm wrong, but like, seeing as a lot of your early work with Nightmind was, you know, engaging with these series and building a space for people to engage them in some ways more deeply than maybe they would have just on a casual watch. Did that like moment sonically then come into the way that like Nightmind as a channel sounds now?
Absolutely, because we have to remember that my very, 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 very first foray into all of this was Marble Hornets Explained. If I was entering this entire fray with the full theming of Marble Hornets, and just in general, after that point, that was going to be a critical influence on anything that I did going forward. There's a lot at the very beginning of that series of glitching and distortion. It's the soundscape of Marble Hornets itself, which then you find that DNA present in all the other works throughout the Slenderverse. It's kind of like what I said in the doc, where when it comes to the glitches, the distortion, technology fucking up, all sorts of crazy sound where somebody went in and they deep fried that sample, and just really played around with it and screwed with the levels. The template was created by Marble Hornets. That sonically did inform my approach, and actually, I was reminded during this talk that for one of my October seasons, I did a theme called Blood Drive, which was all about internet horror. It's like, guys, let's get back to our roots a little bit here with the creepypasta, with Slenderman, with all of that. And I specifically tapped a friend on the shoulder and said, okay, listen, dude, I need something that's going to fit this theme. And I was exposing him to the Marble Hornet stuff, all the soundscapes. So absolutely, all of the work that happened back in the day, I would say, had a major impact going forward sonically. I also have, and for me too, and I have a cute anecdote when it comes to music, and Evan's love of music. Back in the day, when I was doing EverymanHYBRID Explained and just checking out social medias for all the guys, Evan, you had a Tumblr where you had a couple of songs on there, just like you could flick through. And as soon as I hit, I think it's "Bury Me with My Boots On." I can't remember the exact name of the song, but that's the chorus, like "Bury me with my boots on." It's like, damn, that's good shit.
Was it Rob Zombie?
It was not Rob Zombie, but the fun part is your use of Rob Zombie. Whenever Havoc came into the picture, I recognized immediately and made me listen to Zombie more and pushed me over the edge to becoming a full-on Zombie fan that I am now. So, just some fun things.
Also, really quick, Nick, I'm glad you brought up the noise aspect of it because, yeah, some of the noise and distortion sounds in Marble Hornets were from me. Part of them was from like a DIY kind of beginner synthesizer kit that I built inside of a Devo Energy Dome hat that I've still got a couple of videos floating around. Some other gadgets that I found when learning about electronic music and stuff. So, and making those things make sounds that they weren't supposed to. And so I guess for me, kind of like the noise is the music, and that's still kind of rubbed off on me to this day. I still listen to lots of music that's really abrasive and annoying. So, I guess that's still gonna follow me. But yeah, definitely the when it comes to the musical soundscape, I think of the noise and distortion as part of it.
And thank you for it, because it really helped flavor the entire project and push it forward in the scene.
Believe
Aesthetically,
me,
it is its own thing.
believe me when I say it was absolutely my pleasure. That was one of my favorite parts of the whole process was uh, gathering those sounds and figuring out what to do with them. And I may need to save that for like a sound specific question or something, because otherwise we'll be here quite a while. So may want to may want to move on from that. But yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah, I do want to
The
Sorry.
Oh, I was just
no,
saying.
I was finished. I just kind of ran out of steam and trailed off again. I apologize. I've forgotten how to end sentences at this point in the evening, I think.
Valid.
No, I was gonna say there's like, and I get this a lot in talking to other ARG creators specifically, but there is like seemingly a genre of creative, as much as there are genres of people, that when they approach a story world, one of the first things they do is build a soundscape for their private consumption. I think Spotify has made this less tactile. There's something more charming about making a mixtape and throwing it on in the background or something. But like, it sounds like that, especially with EMH, that you guys build those scenes in a similar way to the way like I build scenes for the stuff that I'm making, or like other ARG folks I've talked to do them. That the sound actually informs the structure and boundaries of the world in a way that doesn't come after it's already done.
Well, I think a lot of times it does. I think when you listen to music and you get inspired, right? That's what it does. That's like, at least it's what it does for me. I love it. That's what it does. It's music is like pure creativity. You know what I mean? Just kind of just coming at you, and it makes you feel however it makes you feel, and it makes you think however it makes you think, and that starts being molded into stuff. You know what I mean? When you're thinking in a certain way, I'm thinking about when we were, doing Everyman Hybrid, I'm thinking about writing, I'm thinking about like the you know what I mean, the rake or whatever's going on, or habit or whatever's happening. And then I'm just listening to music and I find like the right song and I'm like, all right, that flows. Let me just listen to that for a little bit and then just start coming up with stuff. And and it works. So then the trick is, the hard part is bringing that into reality, where you're like, all right, well, I can't shoot a machine gun and ride a dragon, so you know what I mean, like I can't pull a man's entire face off. We don't have the budget, so what are we gonna do? Like, what is it? Right, you know what I mean? Like, so start putting it together in a more realistic way. That's the challenge, right? That's like the hard part, is making it, that you still use the music, even though that it might not, whatever you create will never live up to what you thought up. But it might be cool in its own way. It might be better in some ways. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think it informs what you're gonna do. I think whether you know it or not. I mean, you probably got inspired by music. You might be sitting and writing, and you might have been inspired by a song years ago, and maybe this idea has just been dancing in your head for years, and then it's been evolving, and it's like it all came from a fucking, who knows, stupid song or a cool song, whatever, but it did what it needed to do. You know what I mean? But I think the music comes first.
Yeah, or even just like, you're working on a scene, you're like, this is the headspace I need to be in. I'm gonna put on some music that puts me in that headspace and hope some of it transfers.
Yes,
You know?
100%. And then in doing that, you will often be like, "Oh my god, what is this?" You know what I mean? Like sometimes you get that moment of like, "Wow, what's this? This is fucking perfect. This is sick." You know what I mean? Like, this works. But yeah, getting in that headspace, man. That's what it's about.
So we have reached halftime somehow already. I don't know how that worked.
Three questions. Boom.
we got
Truly.
3 questions in. Wow.
You want to take 5 and then come back and do audience questions?
I could get a coffee.
Sure.
Yeah. Awesome.
I
So
can get up a second.
we'll take 5. I'll put on. I made a technical difficulties screen, but I didn't make an intermission screen because that's how my brain works. I don't know. So have fun staring at our technical difficulties
Technical
screen
difficulties.
when we don't have technical difficulties at all.
It's a technical intermission.
It's a,
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a field goal somewhere. Who fucking knows?
Hey, technical difficulty screen during this is on brand.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
Slenderman
Makes
got
sense.
us.
You were right to make that instead of a halftime screen. You were right to do it. That was the right choice.
Yeah.
He's been with us the whole time. I think I've seen one person in the chat mention him.
He's glorious.
Oh,
I like that his suit is so large on him. Yeah,
I love how just nasty it looks. It looks like you dragged him through the mud.
He has been around
He's
for a
literally been
decade.
in this bag for like
He reminds me of
years
like the Harry and the Hendersons, like what the suit looks like now. Look that up. It's bang. Like all melted and shit.
Oh, no.
All right.
All right, I'll see you guys in 5,
Yeah,
audience.
see you in 5.
Folks, we have returned.
We are back.
We're back. Everyone got.
Last one man, I knew him well.
Oh no, he killed Slenderman.
You should be like holding his head, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what you're doing
Trophy.
here.
Medieval
doing? Yeah.
style.
Last poor man, I knew him well.
What is there something wrapped around that? Or is that just
Yeah.
a mannequin head?
It's a styrofoam head.
Huh? Spooky.
So we have audience questions here now, which I'm very excited to get to. We are going to oscillate as much as we can between silly and very serious ones, just so the folks who had their questions curated know. We're trying to stay mostly to stuff that everybody can answer, kind of round robin style. So if you asked a question for a specific person, we might not get to it, but there's a caveat to that we'll get to at the end of the stream. So the first question comes from user Floral Rune. Which is, what should Slenderman do for his 15th birthday?
I don't know. What
Kill
does
15
Slenderman-
people.
What does he do in his downtime?
15
That's
people.
the real question. Yeah, that's a good one. It's like
Like-
blowing out
like
birthday candles
candles.
one by one.
Yeah.
He
Just
should get
ruining
the
lives.
M-rated video game from his parents that he's begging for.
Ooh, that's good.
That's true. That's so true.
Shadow the Hedgehog on PS2.
Shadow has a gun.
Shadow's gonna kill Eggman.
I've got to get that
Wasn't-
damn last page.
Wasn't he trying to kill the president?
I can't
Wasn't that what
remember.
he
It was so
doing?
cracked.
What the fuck?
It was
Who
so
the
fucked,
fuck-
man.
Who the fuck was in that writer's room and how much cocaine was flying around for them to be like, Shadow the Hedgehog, give him a fucking gun. He's fucking killing everybody. Like, what the fuck?
Ow, the
Dude,
egg.
what are you talking about? Like,
Weirdly
That's what
specific,
kids want.
weirdly
It is what
specific
kids want.
story that I happen to have. I sort of did when I was in college. I did one of the projects we were doing. I worked with the guy that was voicing that voice Shadow at that time, because he was also like Sonic and some other stuff. And I only remembered this because I read an article about it a couple of weeks ago, and I forgot he had told me this story way back when. But they weren't sure what they wanted to do with that game, so they're basically every single line has an alternate take where he says like "fuck" or something in it. Where he's just like, I gotta get that last fucking Chaos Emerald, like every single line. And he said like he'd be in the booth just being like, what kind of game is this? Are we okay?
What are we doing?
Whatever
Am I
you
a
say,
cartoon?
yeah. So
This
somewhere
is lost media
there's
we need to get on.
We need
Yeah,
this
somewhere-
we do.
yeah, somewhere
Oh
there, in
my
a
God.
there's a hard drive with Shadow saying all kinds of horrific things.
Okay, we need this.
Oh,
I love
Lost
it.
media
I love
experts,
it.
you can find it.
Get
Go
on
get
this.
it.
Get
Get
on
it.
this.
oh, it's
Fuck
beautiful.
you,
We need to hear
man.
Shadow
Eat
say fuck.
shit and die.
Actually, I remember because after we wrapped, Troy
God,
brought
would
his
you eat
copy
Sonic?
of Sonic 06, and he was like, hey, this is the bad one, right? And he was like, and we went, oh yeah, and he was like, awesome, and he signed it, and he went, we're at a bowling alley, I think. Anyway, go ahead.
Whatever he does for his birthday, the important part is he gets his card and has $20 in it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes!
That's how he
He can
celebrates.
What a
finally
callback.
he can finally pay for Wi-Fi in the club. That's not the line.
Yeah.
I know that's not the line. But
That video is almost as old as Slenderman itself. We're gonna
I
have to do
know.
the $20 anniversary soon too.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Because I remember, I believe it was for entry number 6 of Marble Hornets. So that's like, yeah, that's got to be coming up pretty soon.
Oh yeah.
What does that look like? Is that
Couple
just like
months.
a cover from every? Is it like We Are the World, but it's $20? Oh, no.
You have to make a
No,
next
no.
documentary on that.
Absolutely. I'm
Mhm.
on it.
the Slenderverse documentary was exceptional, except for the lack of coverage for the $20.
Oh,
We
just,
the
just
fans have
wait.
spoken and they
Just
demand the
wait.
$20 coverage.
There's a third episode which goes into detail about some
About
interesting things.
$20.
About the
It-
$20.
Maybe.
If you found whoever uploaded that video, that would be incredible. Because that just occurred to me. There's somebody who doesn't do any interviews.
That's so true. Someone's untold story. The creator
Yeah.
of the $20 meme.
Creating a powerful meme. Yeah.
Oh god. All right, I'm gonna get my mouth under control after that.
The young ones in this chat don't know.
They don't
The young
What?
know.
ones don't
That's
know.
the
They don't
tragedy.
know. They don't
How
know.
Oh man.
How are
You
they
know that.
here?
Well,
They
you know
don't
there's like 15-year-olds or whatever in this that have no fucking idea what
No.
we're talking about, and they're like, "What?"
What are
God.
you
I was a
talking about?
baby.
I said the stream was 18 plus. That obviously stops them.
Wow.
Well, you know
Yeah,
what,
so
mods?
the thing-
They outed themselves. Grab the guns.
Yeah,
Start firing. They
anyone
fucked
who
up.
anyone who doesn't know the
You didn't
$20
play
meme,
along,
they're
kids.
banned.
You didn't play
Ban
along,
them.
kids. You fucked up. Let it be a lesson to you.
Yes, and someone else in the chat, Little Karibo, lovely man that he is, he was also referencing the same video we're talking about. It's older than his video, which was called. Oh yeah, it was called Concrete Giraffes, right? Yeah.
That
He's
sounds familiar. What is that?
it was an animated video that Little Karibo, he's the guy who does Yu-Gi-Oh!
The-
Abridged.
Abridged. Oh my
Yeah.
God, Cairo would show me. Yes, I know it. I know that.
And
yeah. There we go.
because I met
I
him
remember.
because for some reason there was a very small convention on the campus of the University of Alabama, and I mean super small, but he just happened to be one of the guests, and he was in, and they were like had their little signing table in one of the buildings that like I would have to go into anyway, like one of the main student buildings. So I just kind of like wandered in, and I wandered up to the desk, and I was like, and I had my glasses on and everything. I was like, "Hey, what's up? I saw your video. I'm Tim, by the way." And he was like, "No, you're not. Really? Really?" And so that sparked a lovely friendship after that. So I just kind of, yeah, I snuck into a con to say hi, to ambush him over his video.
Nice.
So
Oh wait, me and Evan and I met in person once. I forgot about that.
I
Yeah,
just saw the
was that
pictures
in
earlier
Ohio?
today.
It was in Ohio, yeah.
That was
It was
Midori
it's
Con.
not a real place.
Was that
Wait, was
Midori
it?
Con, Cairo? The one
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Ohio? That's where Cairo was there. Yeah. Hey, I
Oh,
met
yeah,
I
that's
met these
right.
people. Who were these
Ah.
people? You had there was 3 people that ran a panel for you guys, and one of them was a musician I was talking to him. I really liked these people. One of them was a musician, I think. He was like a pianist. And he don't laugh. But he was a pianist, and he said that he wrote that he like helped you guys with some music or something like that. You know what I'm talking about?
I remember who you're talking about.
Yeah,
but
I remember I was shooting the shit with them a little bit.
Holy moly.
I also remember that was like the week after the original Five Nights at Freddy's dropped, and you were talking about it a lot.
Ooh, what a landmark! What a time reference.
I've never played that game.
I mean,
That's valid.
Is it
You can get the
good?
entire experience without
I
ever playing it.
don't know.
Doesn't-
if I
it
would
doesn't
say-
look
what you mean
good.
by good.
It looks
yeah.
like it sucks.
If you think Slender the 8 Pages is good, you'll probably think FNAF is good. If you don't like Slender the 8 Pages, you definitely won't like Five Nights at
I've
Freddy's.
never played that one either.
Okay, then you probably won't like it.
I don't like games where I just stand still.
Yeah, you're really
That's
not gonna
really
like
slow.
it then. That's
I
not
want to
how-
kill stuff. I don't like
You
a
will-
game where I can't kill anything.
Well,
You will hate
Five
that
Nights
game.
is not for
Yeah,
you.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Amnesia, no thanks.
Mm.
A machine for pigs or whatever it was. A machine for
Right.
Oh,
dogs.
yeah, for pigs. Yeah, something like that.
I went to your panel. Cairo wanted to go to your guys' panel. I went to your panel in MidoriCon, and one of these people, you weren't like on the panel. It was like about you though, like about Marble Hornets. And Cairo was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go." I'm like, "Cool, bro, let's go." So I'm sitting in the thing, and we're just chilling together. And people, they're in the middle of talking, and one of the people up there goes, "And I'm sorry, are you Evan?" Like from EverymanHYBRID. I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Do I know you?" And he's like, "No, I know you." And he's like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "I'm just chilling, bro. I'm just vibing. I'm just having a good time, man. What's
I love that.
Oh my god.
Mhm.
Singled
Continue. Continue.
Do people like bump into you
Well, that was
guys in
it.
public and are just like,
Yeah.
"Are you in character right now?" Even to like, does that happen?
No, not in my life. If I go to conventions, that's where I've met people that would be like, I know you. You know what I mean? But not out in my real world. No way. My sister did send me a picture of a license plate though, from around where she's at. That, or not a license plate, but it was a bumper sticker that was like Habit 20, like
out.
years ago. Habit 20
Holy
something.
Oh
shit.
my
you know what I
god,
mean?
Habit
And
2012.
I was like,
bumper
and she's
sticker?
like, but it's my face on it, like, and she goes, "Is that fucking you?" And I was like, "Oh shit, that's me." Sick.
That is sick.
That is so
Oh my
cool.
God.
I will say
Because-
I don't really get, I never get recognized in public, especially because I like look fairly different now. But I've been to see They Might Be Giants live a few times, and every time I've gone, I've been recognized like 5 or 6 times. So there's some overlap there apparently.
Overlap in
The
fandom.
Venn diagram happens there
Yeah.
somewhere. They
Yeah.
be giant.
Yeah, somebody had like someone I remember, it was like,
Oh.
Uh-oh. Did you freeze?
He totally froze.
no.
Wow, I didn't know
He's
somebody
gone.
could do that in real life. That's
It's
nuts.
happening.
We lost him.
Oh no, the overlay is gonna look terrible in about 5 seconds.
Oh yeah, it's
Oh
gonna mess
no,
the whole thing
are we all
up.
gonna shuffle
We're
around?
all gonna get
They got
shifted.
Tim.
Oh man.
Or not. I guess maybe
Well,
we're
we'll
just.
see. Let's just
Oh.
keep
It was only a
going.
matter of time.
Yeah.
What
no,
what
it'll be
coffee
fine.
mugs? What coffee mugs are you all drinking out of? I'm drinking out of a Shishomaru coffee mug.
I am drinking out of a Dunkin' cup right now because I'm filthy.
I presently
that's
have
filthy.
this as above
He's back.
Malo mug from Spirit
There he is.
Halloween.
Hey,
back.
nice.
my
He's
internet
unfrozen.
went off temporarily for some
Hey,
reason.
we got him back.
I had
My
a
bad.
friend who was a ceramicist, so this is one of their mugs. It's very nice.
Very cool. Very
I was
cool.
drinking chocolate straight from the bottle.
Ceramicist.
Yeah.
Oh God, what are you drinking?
Chocolate milk.
Oh, I thought it was, for some reason I thought it was a coffee creamer container, and I was like, "You will, I'm gonna puke for you." That's repulsive. I can't even imagine. But chalky milk. All right, that's
No.
Valid choice. Valid choice.
Oh god.
I drink the creamer at night and the coffee in the morning, so they mix later on.
Oh,
It's better
Like
for
an
your
alchemical
metabolism.
process. Yeah.
advanced
I
tactic.
need that to
I don't want
stop.
all that stuff at once. All that
Dead
dairy's gonna
by
weigh me
40.
down in the morning.
True.
Dead by 40, for sure.
I guess it would be like, oh god, I don't even know. It'd be like the worst experience at Cold Stone Creamery ever.
I mean, in Dead
God.
Rising, that's how you get health back. You can drink an entire can of coffee creamer
Ooh.
Yeah, that's how I
and
get
get
my
health
back.
So that's probably how it works in real life too. Just down the
And
whole
it-
thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Only one way to find out.
Yeah, that's
Right.
no.
Okay.
But you were in the middle of a story.
Oh, I think I cut.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
right.
it was cut off. Yeah, I was in line for one of the They Might Be Giant shows, and someone in front of me. It was like she had the two guys from They Might Be Giants tattooed on the back of one leg, and then the operator symbol tattooed on the back of the other leg. So I was like,
Wow.
okay, yeah. So yeah, there is definitely some overlap.
Wow.
Sick.
It's really the reverse of so a couple of months ago, not a couple months ago, maybe a year, somewhere between a year and a couple months ago, some amount of time, director of Donnie Darko came through Milwaukee to do Southland Tales, to like talk about Southland Tales, which is like coming to a show and then talking about the thing that you made that everybody hates. I don't really know why why you would choose to do that, but I mean, Southland Tales is iconic. If you haven't seen it, it does have a prominent car fucking scene that is very specifically phrased.
That's not even the only movie that has that.
No, it's not.
I can think of a couple other ones.
Yeah.
It is weirdly prophet. Anyway, long story short, at the end of the show, he's taking, questions at a table, and I walk past and think about it, and then turn around, and I go over and say, hey, and God, what's his? I'm having Richard Kelly. And I'm like, hey, Richard Kelly, thank you so much for your contributions to, so much of the ARG scene has seen Donnie Darko and taken a lot from it. And he just turns to me, and this is the guy who's like, again, Southland Tales, if you haven't experienced it, this is mostly for chat, I assume, is like, starts at episode 4. The first 3 episodes are comics. It has like a ton of other weird ephemera attached to it. He turns to me and he goes, what's an ARG? And I'm like, how have you gotten this far in your life and you have never experienced, like, the transmedia guy doesn't, I don't know. Anyway, it's really the reverse. I would have expected any amount of connection, and there's none. Which, I guess happens.
It goes to surprising places when it comes to mainstream media. Darren Lynn Bozeman, who has been behind a couple of the Saw films, is very, very much into the immersion space. The video I did a while back on One Day Die, which was a kind of box recipient haunting sort of thing, he was behind that. He was also behind some very much on the ground. You go into a building and you have a motherfucker of an experience kind of thing called the tension experience. So some people in the scene are aware and they are in touch with it, but sometimes you'll just not catch it. It's still trying to gain ground.
Yeah.
The big recurrent question that we've gotten from guests is, what was the hardest part of your series to film? Or I guess in the case of again, because I mean, unless there's a project you want to just talk about, Nick, that is not common knowledge. I guess for you, what was the hardest part of the Explain series to film, or any other amount of stuff that came out of the Slenderverse stuff? So that's come from a lot of different people and different phrasings. So I think it's probably the next best place to go.
Okay. Well, I can tell you, when I set about doing Marble Hornets Explained, I knew how big the task was, but I had the benefit of being literally who at that time, with no YouTube channel beyond having set it up, and the time to just go ahead and write it out and plan things. Honestly, the hardest part about all of that was exactly what you expect of a novice, of what are people going to think of this? And oh my god, if this gets to the creators, what are they going to think of it? Are they going to think that I'm just some asshole who decided to cover their work and try to get some name off of it, or do a massive puzzle solve and get it completely wrong? It was very much a case, going in with Marble Hornets Explained, of I am so new to this. I think I know what I'm doing. I'm going to give it my best, and I just have to put it out there and just sit tight and wait. When it came to Everyman Hybrid, and I was mentioning this the chat earlier, I was faced with the task of, okay, you managed to do all of that. It turned out so much better than expected. Everybody's cool with it. Are you willing to do it again on hard mode? Because it was already hard, but this is gonna be worse. And I was lying on my couch staring at the ceiling thinking, I have to do something next. The obvious thing is Everyman Hybrid. Half my brain was like screaming, this is gonna be so much. And the other half was screaming, let's fucking go! You can do it! Let's get nuts! Let's go! So that's what it was. And I guess just kind of to simplify the question for Evan and Tim and Cairo, in the process of being an internet creator, when it comes to what was the hardest part, I'll ask an addendum question. How many 24-hour days did you have, guys?
Ooh. The only time I can think of was whenever it was working on the well, doesn't even really count as the actual show. It was the season 3 DVDs, because I was on a super tight deadline, because it's like we wanted them done in time for a convention so we could actually like sell them at the convention. And it was like right before we were about to send them out, I realized that like they didn't render correctly. Like I was missing some clips, or I came really close to rendering them without like one of the fonts that should have been there. There was a font in the videos that I didn't have installed on my PC that I almost didn't catch. So like the DVD version of I think maybe the season 2 or 3 To the Ark videos would have had the text in Arial if I hadn't caught it like right at the end there. But so I think that one was, I want to say, at least 48 hours continuously.
Holy shit.
No, I think it was almost 3 days.
Jesus.
With like a
My
nap,
God.
with like an hour or two nap every now and then. But
Wow.
it was like I would do as much as I could, and then because I was limited by how fast my computer could render the videos, and so that was whenever I could nap. It was like I'd look on the timeline and I'd set a timer. I'm like, okay, that's how
I got an
long
hour.
I can nap. Okay, you guys watch the rest. Look for more bugs. I'll be back in an hour. That was my that was the least amount of rest I think I ever got.
That's
An
rough.
experience I'd rather not repeat.
Ugh.
And also an experience I'm sure most of you probably can relate to on some level or other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I've never had any like extremely long days when I was working on compileTRUTH. The biggest obstacle was lack of people to play characters besides myself. I had a couple of people, who were friends in high school who helped me out with a couple of videos, but they couldn't be long-term characters.
Mhm.
So like I had to, how do I make a narrative with one actor, basically?
Mhm.
And then also I was 19 when I started it. I didn't know what I was doing. A
None
good
of us
chunk
did.
of a good
Nah,
chunk of the
none of
videos
us.
were edited on Windows Movie Maker. And also, when I wasn't at college during the summers and breaks, my parents were like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yep.
Because they didn't understand the internet yet.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll jump in with my answer here, pulling from the documentary. The actual shooting of the live action segments on the documentary, particularly our first block of shooting. So we did basically 3 blocks of shooting. The other 2 were much more spread out. There were days in between. Our first block was 4 days back to back. 10-hour days each day of shooting. So our filming location for what you saw in the woods in the documentaries, it's about a 40-minute drive from where most of us lived. And then a 15-minute hike from the parking lot to the filming location. And so we would do that I think at like 8 a.m. and then we would be back down by like 8 p.m. And so 4 days in a row. And because it was such a big project, I would basically go home after that, like basically 12-hour day, 10 hours actively on set. And I would then do all of the shot lists and storyboarding for the next day, up until like 1 a.m. And then get up the next day, drag my like 15-person crew out into the woods again at like 9 a.m. 4 days in a row. And it was quite an experience, and I'm endlessly grateful to my crew for actually sticking with that, because that was insane. And we probably should have planned it better, but we did it, and it was crazy, and it was I found it very fun, despite how insane and stressful it was. But yeah, so that was my experience.
That's what warriors are made of in this.
Damn right. You damn right. I think I got sort of a two-part where, so I think I've told this story before about when I was the rake. I was covered in this like clay shit, right? And it was like you can get it online. You can just mix it like in this like powdered form, and you can mix it up with water, and then you could smear it on yourself, and it makes you like gray. This like gray goop.
Covered in drywall putty.
Kind of. Oh, probably super toxic. Like I'm probably definitely like riddled, right, with diseases.
You call one of those mesothelioma commercials. You're negatively negatively affected by. Yeah, if you played the rake, you might be entitled to financial compensation.
This 100% asbestos is so cheap. But so it was this. I got the idea from this this like artist that I saw on YouTube or something, who was like this freaky dude who would take this like clay stuff and smother it on his face, and they go like. I don't know if you guys have ever seen what I'm talking about, but and then he would take like paint and he'd like make like holes so it looks like he's got eyes, kind of. It was fucking wild. But I was like, that shit is what I want. I go, that shit. And I brought it to the boys, and I'm like, look at this shit. And it's this guy, he takes his scoop and he smears it all over his face. But here's the thing is it takes away all of his features. And it goos over him. And I'm like, now imagine if he just had like bug eye goggles and all that shit on his face. You got yourself a monster. Spooky monster. And they were like, all right, fuck it. They're like, at least it makes your skin gray and shit. Let's do it. So we ordered this stuff, but Vinny ordered
You started with Smooth Evan and then went from there.
So that was the plan, was Smooth Evan, right? Smooth Gray Evan. We ordered it, but he ordered it in bricks. It's supposed to come powdered. And he goes, all right, so we got bricks. And we're like, so we have to make it into like powder. So hours, I don't know how long, hours on his back porch, mortars and pestles is what we had, and an ice chipper, like an ice shaver machine, and a hammer and a chisel, because luckily his dad had a lot of cool tools. So we had a hammer and a chisel to break off chunks, to then put it in the ice chipper, and then other people were working on the mortar and pestle. Fucking hours. And we eventually got a good amount of it. And we did a test in his front yard. I stripped down to my skivvies, and we covered me in this goo. And people were honking as they were driving by, which is pretty funny. But that sucked. But the second part of this is probably the hardest day for me shooting. It wasn't the longest, but I suffered the most. We went out into the Poconos, and that's where the scene was with the rake. And the Poconos, for those who aren't familiar, is like the mountains of Pennsylvania. And it was cold as shit. It was winter, and it was starting to snow. So just get an idea for how cold that shit was. It sucked. So I'm out there. The first thing we do is you got to mix this shit with water. So it's just water, wet clay all over my body. Basically poured water all over me. I'm out there in my underwear. That's what the rake looks like. That's why he's got, I have like tight fitting underwear. And soaking me in this clay. So I'm out there in the cold. I have these dumb fucking goggles. I can't see shit, right? Because the clay got all over them. And then I got to run around and thrash around on the ground, which, by the way, more gravel than you think there was. It sucked. But so by the end of it, I couldn't feel my feet. Like my toes, couldn't feel them at all. And I was like, are we done? Like, I was talking like this. And they're like, yeah, man, we're good. I'm like, all right. And I get in like the shower, and I'm showering off this goo. And I'm like, I'm dying. It fucking sucked. But then Vinny made like spicy ramen, so it was perfect. But
Oh man.
yeah,
What
that
what
sucked.
a memory though.
Oh my.
But those two things I think mixed together are what pops into my. I'm sure there's longer days like of us shooting the shit and a lot of planning. We had a lot of like talking days where we'd write shit down and we'd go and get like big hoagies and stuff and just like shoot the shit all night or play video games while we did it. But for work, I think that's it for me.
Oh. Well, you're a trooper, and it paid off. I love that episode.
I
Yeah.
think it looked pretty good. Yeah.
It looks so cool.
I remember you showing me the rough cut of it before it actually came out, and I was like, "Oh, that's amazing."
Yeah.
There's an
yeah.
element
You
to
haven't
all
told me the
this that
story
I've
yet
found.
at the time, but I was like, "Oh, that looks amazing."
Don't understand the context, but you liked it. That's good.
There's an element to all this I've found through indie filmmakers and even my own experiences getting live action stuff, which is it all boils down to one thing. Did you get the shot?
Yeah.
Yeah, you might have
Yeah, you got
suffered.
it.
It's cold, it's long, you're sleep deprived, but did you get the shot? Good. That's what we're made of. That's what we're here to do.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like that's the thing. When I look back on stuff I made like 5 years ago or whatever that I suffered immensely to get, I don't think of the suffering anymore. I'm just like, wow, that was a great shot, and I'm glad I put my past self through whatever was needed to get that shot.
Whatever it was, it was worth it because like I don't remember the lead up to that because I
Exactly.
didn't film that part.
Yeah,
I can't watch that part again. I can only watch the good part.
yeah.
cool
So basically,
part,
it's
yeah.
like it's like it didn't even happen.
My brain's on the SD
Yeah.
card. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
You can take all the hardship and all the suffering and do the same thing with it that you do with all the other suffering in your life and just push it way down.
Yeah,
Way down there, way in the back.
just bury it. Yeah.
Buried in the dark recesses. And then everything's
Life
okay
is an
again.
iceberg.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
The other like through line to this then is like, and by the way, for the people who are watching who are not just fans but are in fact the NSA, this is a joke. I don't know what you don't think I'm serious. I couldn't.
We're just kidding, NSA.
Yeah.
We're just kidding. We're
just
just
turn the
kidding.
stream off, go away. But no, I mean like a lot of the locations you guys worked with were definitely legal to get into, and you definitely had permission for them.
course.
All of them.
Permits and all.
There is the other side, like the other side of the question, I think, which is it's not asked, but I consider it implicit, which is like any fun stories from those moments.
There's got to be a statute of limitations on that kind of thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
At this point,
if it's been over a decade, it's like, what are you
10
gonna do?
years.
Yeah, I live
It's
in a
just
different
trespass.
state. What are you even gonna do? Yeah,
I
they
assume
can't get me.
anyway.
Yeah.
Unless they're gonna call the FBI on you for trespassing 10 years
Yeah.
ago.
I got a story about one that we didn't break into, and it was for a good reason. But we went there to scope it out, and we're like, "This is a neat place." We did a lot of urban exploring, right? We went to a lot of places that we never used. We just enjoyed them. But one of these
That's
places
one of the
we
best
went
parts
to,
of the making these things is the urban
All the-
exploring.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh my god,
So much fun.
it's so much fun.
Finally, I have a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not just a weirdo out here at abandoned
Yeah.
buildings.
No,
I'm not
I'm
just
filming
breaking
a
into stuff
video
for no
for
reason. Yeah,
YouTube,
exactly.
for the internet. It's different.
It's not breaking and entering. It's location.
Sorry, I didn't
scout.
mean to interrupt you.
Why is that man wearing a Zentai sex suit? It's a very spooky video. It's a
It's
scary
for
video.
Scary. Yeah.
Are you scared? He's in a business suit. Be scared. So I went to this place. We were scoping it out, and we found this like, you know how oil is like looks shiny, right, in the dark, kind of, and it's nighttime, obviously. And we're like, oh look, this like oil, and I started like ice skating in it. Like I'm like a bunch of oil, right? Because that's the first instinct. And I think it's Vinny and Jeff, and they go over to the windows and they're like scoping out, and they go, there's a bunch of like barrels and shit in there. It's like full of shit. It's like full of containers and stuff. And one of them looked and posted on the door was like, hazardous, extremely dangerous, hazardous
Oh, no.
chemicals. Extreme health risk, and all of the shiny shit was coming out of the building. Like it was coming from underneath, like the there was like a garage door kind of. It was like sliding out from underneath it. So I'm sliding around this mystery shit that's like fucking super toxic. Fucking, you're gonna grow a third arm, and we were like, "Ooh, let's leave." So we didn't film there.
If only you had known at the time that the only way to protect your skin from those toxic chemicals was the rake putty. If you had been, if you had covered your body, then you could have done some belly slides then, and you would have been
It
fine.
might have even given me superpowers. You know what I mean, of some kind, which would have been cool.
Well, I think the two different superpowers you would have gotten from the two separate things would like cancel each other out. So like if you do both,
just be a normal
then you'd
guy.
just be normal. Yeah.
I'd just be a normal guy. Bit by a radioactive spider while being shot with gamma rays. Normal guy.
Yeah. Just by a
normal
radioactive spider
guy.
and a radioactive scorpion at the same time. It's like they cancel each other out or something.
Absolutely.
I don't know how that stuff works.
Normal guy with a fear of bugs.
So I had a couple of, I never got like in trouble for anything, but there was definitely some like stolen shots where like, okay, technically this is private property, but it's been abandoned for years. Okay, you know, and then trying to film on college campus. Like there were occasions where I could use like equipment from my classes where then I had the excuse of, oh, it's for a class. But then there were times I was just using my, you know, personal camcorder, and people were like, "What's he doing?" And also, you know, carrying Slenderman around to try to film.
You know, in a college though, I feel like they should have just shut the fuck up. You're in college, like you're probably doing some kind of project. You know what I mean? Like they were stupid for looking at you weird. You know what I mean? Fuck that.
There was this like these like maintenance tunnels that I filmed something in that I never got to actually use in a video because the whole idea fell through. And then I did get talked to by police in a public park once. Because public park guy filming, they were just suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
I have heard that it is a quote-unquote badge of honor in the Slenderverse to have had the cops called on you. Is that true, and can any of you speak on that?
We've never had them called on us, but they did show up once or twice. There was there was like, I wasn't there for all of them, but I know the place that we used for like the abandoned hospital, which was like, it was actually several of the abandoned locations we used were actually like kind of in that same space. It was like a cluster of abandoned buildings, so it almost kind of turned into our studio lot in a way. Just, it wasn't our studio lot, but it was the one that we used. But like, I know Troy and Joseph got like, there was a guy like waiting for them as they were leaving, and I think, if I remember correctly, I think Troy just like panicked and looked at him and was like, "We'll never come back here again," and just drove off. And then we did, because that was like one of the first times they ever went there. There was the time, entry 59, which was the one where Tim yells at, chews out Jay and punches him in the face, and you get to look at their feet for the whole thing. I know the cops showed up for that, because I was having to like yell outside at night. It was just kind of like in the middle of town. And that could have been really bad, because I think it was like, I think Joseph had like, I don't know if I should say this. I think that was when Joseph found out about like an unpaid like parking ticket or speeding ticket or something that he wasn't aware of until Mr. Officer informed him of such. But he just happened to be from like, it was for the next county over, and he didn't feel like dealing with it because it was like midnight. So he was just like, "Take care of that ticket, bud." But other than that, most of the time, one time one of the cops was just like, "Well, if you ever need a cop in your show," I was like, "I don't," but they appreciate the
Thank
offer.
you.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, because I mean, this is, small town, or I mean, Alabama college town between 2009, 2014, YouTube's still fairly new. If you tell them you're making a YouTube video, most of the time they just kind of be like, "Neat, yeah, sure, go ahead. Can I be in it?" Not all the time, but like the at the beginning of season 3, where I think Jay's like, he's in like an antique store or something. He's asking a shop owner about something. I think that's pretty much what happened. He was just like, "Do you want? Can we film this scene for our video in here?" And the lady was like, "Yeah, sure." And he was like, "Do you want to be in it?" She was like, "Yeah." And so that's what they did. I don't think I don't think I was around for that part either. But if I remember correctly, yeah, that's pretty much what happened. Because yeah, it was very it's very loose, very casual at the time, in a way that I don't think that probably doesn't exist now. I don't think you could get away with that pretty much anywhere. Maybe in some other super small towns, maybe. I don't know.
Well, now if you say you're filming a YouTube video, the first thing the cops do is like, "Yeah, fuck you." You know what I mean? Like they're not happy about it because
people have done too many dumb things for YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, now
and
people
got,
start
like,
filming TikToks of themselves all over the place. So I feel like
so they're probably just annoyed by it at this point. I think it
Yeah.
would be detrimental to like say that you're doing that.
Mhm.
If anything, saying something like "I'm filming a documentary," they might be like, "Okay," but if you're like, "I'm filming a YouTube video,"
filmmaker.
I'm filming a
something
class
like
project. That's when you'd really want to use
there
that.
you go.
Yeah.
That would be smart. But if you're like, "I'm filming a YouTube video," they're just gonna be like, "You're on the
No.
ground." Like, wait.
I'm not one of those YouTubers. Wait.
Yeah.
On the camera. Like, bust your shit up.
Yeah.
I never had any run-ins, but Vinny was a target man. He was like a magnet for cops. I don't know what it is. They hate his ass. I don't know. And he's like he's a very chill guy. Like doesn't call. He's the quietest of all of us. He's just chill. He like will follow the rules and shit. But there's just something. He has the worst luck. They just go for him. I don't know why.
It's just got that look, the look of a man who's up to something.
I guess because he's just had so many.
They clock him.
run-ins.
They go, "You look too nice. Now we're gonna fuck up your day
Too
because you
nice,
can't look that
very
nice and be
nice.
innocent."
I was never there. It was always like other people that were with him. But he, if you ever get him on here, he could tell you some stories. But the one that I saw was we got pulled over. Had nothing to do with EMH specifically. We were all just together because we were coming back from a hoagie place. And when we were coming back with these like fat sandwiches, which were great. And we get pulled over, and so Jeff was driving, and he gets out of it. They pull him out of the car, and I think the cops were. It's like this area. We drove to the area to get hoagies. It's kind of a rich area, and we're going back to where we live, which is not as rich of an area. But I think the cops were just bored, right? Because they pulled him over for no reason. They're looking to see if like we're high or drunk or whatever, because it's a car full.
Nothing better to do.
College kids. Yeah, they have nothing better to do. There was like 3 cop cars behind us for nothing, right? So they clearly it's a fucking slow night. But they pulled him over. They're talking to him, and they pull Jeff out of the car and they start talking to him. And they're talking to all of us. They have nothing. It's just bullshit. And then when he gets back in the car, he goes, I'm like, how'd it go? They were talking to you for a while. He goes, actually good. I gave them one of our cards. And we made business cards for EMH that we would like hide in books in libraries, or like it was guerrilla marketing is what we called it, where we just put them in weird places. And it wasn't like this is spooky. It's like a guide to a healthy lifestyle. You know what I mean? So people would look at it and be like, "Oh, I want to get in better shape," and then they'd fall into our bullshit trap. But he gave them one of those, and he explained what it was, and they were just like, "We don't get it, but cool." So he gave them his business cards, and then they let him go on his way.
Story of our friggin' lives when it comes to being internet people doing stuff, right? Is you try to talk to anybody about what you're doing. It's like family will ask, "So what are you doing? Are you still doing the YouTube thing?" Or as I heard Troy say once, his mom referred to it as your Google show. And it's like, you try to explain it, they're like, "Oh, and that, so that works like this?" It's like, you try to explain it further, and they nod, and you see they're trying to get it, and then you're just like, man, I'm never going to cross that bridge with them.
No.
But they trust me, and they wish me well, so off I go.
It's the thought that counts.
Now that
It
I'm
is.
like 3 extensive documentaries about ARGs into my like filmmaking career, just thoroughly explaining it. I think my family is finally starting to get the hint a little bit now that they've spent like 6 hours watching just intense breakdowns.
Well, what you're making too is you're explaining it as you go. Like that's the nature of a documentary is to educate or like you know what I mean, show all sides of something. So you're educating them, whereas the ARG itself, you kind of have to know you're in the joke or that you're in the show in order to do it, because my family has watched some of EMH and they do not understand it. And I get it. I don't see how anybody could when you just walk into it. You're like, the fuck is that?
I've met ARG people who don't understand EMH.
The what?
I've met ARG people who don't understand EMH. Like, even people who know what they're doing don't understand EMH.
I hardly grasp it. I'll be honest. Because you got to think it was made by three different people. It's 3 different writers. There's
over
parts
8
of it
years.
I fucking get it all, and there's parts they probably don't fucking get. You know what I mean? Like, so it's so bonkers. But in trying to explain it, it's like I don't. To my family, I'm like, yeah, I made like a spooky Slenderman show.
That's
it sucks. Don't worry about it. And they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
I think my mom's watched all of Marble Hornets. I know she watched most of it. I think she finished it. Pretty sure. Either way, she was watching it. I think both my parents came to one of the conventions that we went to. I think they were just looking for an excuse to go all the way up to Connecticut because they were there for like an hour. But
we came to visit you. Bye.
You know, Nick, you also touched on you mentioning like the Google show and what have you. That also just kind of reminded me of why we never actually like said any of like the websites or platforms by name in the show. Is just because they all sound really stupid to say out loud. It deflates the drama when I have to talk about Google or Twitter or a bunch of websites that don't even exist anymore. So we just didn't say any of them at all. But yeah, that also pertains to real life. I mostly just am like, yeah, I just do this show on the internet, a web series. I don't even bother saying like the YouTube part or whatever.
It was honestly good foresight, considering the way that the landscape has changed and what could still happen, because it makes it more timeless that way. Even watching it, when you have the understanding that your character is just realizes you've been broadcasting my private struggles while I'm losing my mind in this whole crazy underground investigation to all these strangers, you feel justified when Jay gets punched in the face. You feel you really feel like, yeah, no, you have that coming.
But it feels like it deflates the drama if I have to pepper the word YouTube in there a bunch of times. Yep. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's like because I'm not going to be beholden to whatever some Silicon Valley nerd decided to name this platform I'm posting this on.
Absolutely.
Well, there's like a, you know, you say the name and suddenly I'm not looking at the picture anymore. I'm looking at the frame, right? And there are like times to do that, mainly when you're critiquing the frame, but like it's not like it loses sight of the moment for, oh yeah, I guess this is a video reply to something to the Arc did, huh? You know?
Right, and then also the other thing is just sort of like now, like YouTube's been around for what 15 years, what pushing 20 years. Facebook's been around almost 20 years. That was not the norm back then. Back then, social media platforms rose and fell like farts in the wind. So it was sort of like, don't mention these by name because they probably won't be around a month from now. Yeah. So that was another big reason for that.
And the video reply feature.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is such an insanely bad idea. Like, why on earth did they have that in the first place? Just, you can make video replies that are just underneath the video. Are you out of your mind? Like,
completely unhinged.
I think they just had higher hopes for what people on the internet were like. Maybe they were a little too naive over there. But just the fact that was ever the fact that that was ever a feature in the first place is just mind-boggling to me. This is not related to this. I'm kind of going back a little bit. Really quick, kind of specific, but Evan, I gotta ask, because watching some of the footage tonight was bringing back some memories of you guys may have been in a different part of the country, but boy, did it look awfully similar. So I got to ask, were hoagies like you guys' fuel? Did you have a specific, like, all right, we got to stock up on what was the go-to, like, what did you have to fuel up on before it was time to shoot? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Hoagie Haven.
Hoagie Haven?
There was a
Right on.
restaurant in Princeton. And it's called Hoagie Haven, and it's pretty close to Princeton University. And that's what I meant by a rich area was Princeton. And Hoagie Haven is this tiny little shop, and it's open from like till fuck ass in the morning. You know what I mean? They go until they run out of food is kind of the thing, and they run out of food because they're good as hell. And what they would have is there was two sandwiches that I loved. There was the Fat Lady, which is a big cheesesteak with mozzarella sticks, French fries, and hot sauce on it. And then there was the dirty, and then there was the and these things, by the way, when you got a whole one, which I always got, because back then I could eat the whole fucking thing. Not anymore, man. I'd die. But back when we were like, 19, fucking 18, 19, 20, the whole one was like this fucking big. Thing was a monster, right? Monster. And then there was the Fat Lady, and then there was the Dirty Sanchez, and the Dirty Sanchez was my shit. It was a bunch of chicken tenders, fried chicken tenders, again with mozzarella sticks, French fries, and Sanchez sauce, which is like this mixture of like mayo, mustard, and honey mustard, and something else, but in this and a mystery flavor, I'm sure. But it was this fucking awesome sauce. They sold it there, and it kicked ass. And these sandwiches were this was our shit. We would get Hoagie Haven for like brainstorm nights. We'd be like, all right, we're gonna, because we were terrible ADHD all over the place. All three of us were fucking morons, right? We can't get anything done. So we're like, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna get our fucking Hoagie Havens, we're gonna come back, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna goddamn plan some stuff. So then we'd have food and we'd talk over it. It gives us something to like do. You know what I mean? But that was our shit.
Yeah, because I just wonder, because like when I think back, I mean, a lot of it was just sort of like the chains, like Popeyes, or like we have a chain in Alabama called Jack's. This is just kind of like a burger chain or whatever. But I also just have a lot of memories of, so like a lot of the abandoned hospital, more than one, like a lot of those abandoned places, like I said, a lot of them are around the same area. And there was a driveway that went straight up to the front door of that big place. It's the one that has bones spray painted over the entrance. That's kind of like the main building that all the college kids sneak out to. You could drive up to the front, but that's where the security guys were watching, so we would never go there. What we would do is first we would stop at the Shell station, load up on coffee and usually pork rinds for me. And maybe something else. And then we would park at the lumber yard that was kind of like around the corner, and it was probably like a good 15-20 minute trek to the actual buildings from there, just so nobody would see us. But I mostly remember that because, like, I had my coffee, I had my pork rinds or whatever, and the thing about abandoned buildings is they don't have working bathrooms. Mm-hmm. So I feel that lent a lot of my performances a sense of urgency that I may not have had otherwise. So that when I was asking what fuels you, I guess that's kind of what I was thinking of. What fueled you guys back then? Again, apologies for going way away from the initial questions. I hope this is interesting to somebody.
Fascinating. I am fascinated.
It's still great. It's still great. Honestly, it's like, okay, if I'm ever in Alabama, I should get Jack's and maybe some pork rinds in honor of you. And if I've got to get to Hoagie Haven now. I've got
on my list
because
now.
I remember even watching EMH and doing the Explain series. How many times just on the slide Hoagie Haven was mentioned, and it's like, man, this sounds like a good ass sandwich shop. This is like a legendary location. I've got to go by. The Dirty Sanchez sounds fucking legit, dude. That sounds like my pick.
It's good. And back then, like I said, I could eat the whole thing in one sitting, because you know what I mean. You're so young, you're invincible. Your stomach's
You
made
can
of
eat
iron.
the world. Yeah.
Now, if I eat half of one of those, I'm gonna be like heartburn, all fucking. You know what I mean? Like, mid 30s. Now I can't do that shit at all.
Well, now you're probably like, oh, well, that's tomorrow's dinner sorted too. Cool.
Yeah. So that's kind of what any big meal now. I'm like, ooh, that's 2 meals. I can't, because if I do it now, I'm gonna shit myself and die.
Can't do that before the shoot. Too much urgency.
Yeah.
Can't
I
do
have,
that. No.
I have a fuel to contribute.
What is your fuel,
Do it.
brother?
Working on mainly editing sessions for compileTRUTH. At my college, there was a place called Campus Polyice, and they were a pizza place, but you didn't go for the pizza. You went for the breadsticks because they were stuffed breadsticks.
Ooh.
They made out of pizza dough stuffed with cheese and your choice of pizza toppings. Served with either a ranch or pizza sauce dip. And these things were ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
I ate way more of those than I'm proud of.
You're a little
There
bit
had been
proud
a
of it
place
now.
in
You're proud of it.
Alabama
Okay,
that did garlic knots. I would have been in big trouble.
share a picture.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice
Oh,
picture.
Oh my
man.
God,
Dude,
those
that
are
looks
fucking-
incredible.
Oh,
Understood.
Wow.
you
It's
can
on his
see the
profile.
fucking like grease on them. That looks so
Yeah.
good. Holy shit!
Yeah,
how
if you're
you
ever
know.
in
I love that you found a picture of that.
Yeah.
He's
Get a
had
visual-
this same
visual
for
reference.
years, pal.
The dramatic
He was ready for
fade
this
on them
story.
too.
That's his background on his phone.
oh, it's on my phone background.
It's about to be my phone background.
That shit looked good. Yeah. Are they as big
Yeah.
as they looked? How big are those?
Yeah, so that is well here, slide back. That is a 12-inch pizza pan that they're on. So
Wow.
You got to
Oh
draw
my
on the
God.
picture now. Well, you see with the cheese oozing out on the far end there. It's where,
Play by
that's
play.
where the flavor is going to concentrate. So you're going to want to save that area for last.
Oh, that's
Nick, what
inadvertent.
was
That's
that
a good
food?
idea for an actual joke channel. It's just, how do you attack this food? Broke it
Yeah.
down. Somebody steal that. We do. I think we're technically over time, but there was one more question I really wanted to get to because we had really good conversation about it in the break, which was let me pull it up. That's the wrong webpage. What am I doing? Len the Bard asked about the Latino fandom of Slenderman and ARGs, and if you guys were aware of them, or if you to what extent your series has interacted with people. Let's just say even moving beyond just the Latino community as well, but it's not a mystery, and I got a lot of questions in here as well, that a lot of queer people have become incredibly attached to the Slenderman as a character. So in general, were there communities or cultural groups or anything that surprised you in terms of where your work reached?
Brazil.
Reaching anywhere at all, really. Just
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a whole different country. That's wild. Yeah. I don't know. Like if you're talking about cultural groups, cultural groups. I don't understand what that means, or communities. I don't have a good. I'm just a generic white guy. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know what that entails. A generic white straight guy. So I'm part of no. I'm part of no clique. I don't know. I'm not part of a community, right? What I would say is I think it makes sense that people in those communities would fucking like it because I like it. You know what I mean? It's the same people, whatever. What the fuck is the difference? You know what I mean? I'm surprised that it reached people who don't speak my language. That's what I'm surprised by. Mm-hmm. How did you even watch it on the on the YouTube closed captions? Those are rough. Did you even? You know what I mean? They're not great. I don't know. That impresses me. I don't know if people translated it or what or how that happened, but.
Well, in that case,
but people in America
fan
speak the
localizations of
language.
your work, that's incredible,
The what?
They're fan localizations of your work. That's honestly
I know people have done
immense.
those of various Slenderman series. I know someone I know for a fact someone did a localization of Dark Harvest, and I can't imagine someone would do one of Dark Harvest and not of EMH.
Yeah.
Which is just wild. You know, I think that one of the really beautiful things about Slenderman, you know, is like he is this horror creature. He's this internet oddity. He's this larger than life myth now, but like the really interesting thing about it is how it's brought together people from literally all around the world in a really surprising way, that he's had this global reach, which is interesting because like the Slenderverse, the popular series at least, are so like America
So
focused,
East
right?
Coast
Uh,
too.
Very
Like,
East Coast focused, but like more broadly, very U.S. focused. And the blogs largely were as well. Slenderman, you know, originated in SomethingAwful forums, which was largely United States. And yet
I
it's
think Victor
become this.
Surge lived in Florida, I think.
Yeah, so it's become this global phenomenon despite that. And like the thing that speaks to me is it's Slenderman becoming a literal like myth or legend, where it transcends language and it transcends cultures, and it just becomes part of the global consciousness in a sense, and that extends even to people creating series. Like I've seen so many series, not like particularly like popular numbers wise ones, but from all around the world. You know, South America, from I've seen Russian Slenderman series. You know, I've seen all sorts of different ones over the course of my research. And so, you know, it's this figure. We were talking about this earlier, but it's this figure that anyone can really sort of latch onto, and that extends even to other countries or to different cultural groups, even within the United States. That anyone can not only appreciate and enjoy it and be exposed to it, but also add their own elements to it, and really like truly bring unique interpretations to it. You know, we've talked a lot about the unique interpretations within the Slenderverse. You know, the well-known different interpretations, but going deeper and going into other countries and stuff, the interpretations get so much more vast.
Oh, I think like, and I mean, I can't speak super broadly as far as this goes, but I know for us, it's sort of like you're saying a lot of it is sort of based in the U.S., but that's not an integral part of it. That just happens to be where it's made. Like where ours is set is the woods, but that could be the woods anywhere. Like watching some of those Everyman Hybrid clips, I was like, man, this looks like they shot it in the exact same place because it's the woods. It's very, you know, and they look pretty similar. And you know, you guys' apartments looked exactly like ours because I guess that's just what everybody's apartment in 2009 looked like back then. So you know, it was just sort of like just because it was made in this one specific place, it wasn't rooted there. Like we didn't really. I like to think we didn't have a ton of like Alabama isms in it, but maybe that's just me from the inside looking out. But yeah, I think it's sort of the fact that at least in the beginning they were not being rooted in any one specific place did kind of lend to that idea that it could be anywhere, and there's no reason why it couldn't be anywhere.
Absolutely. And I do have to drop this phrase because I can't let this live stream end without dropping this phrase once. It really was art for everyone.
Yeah.
Truly
What is
was
that? What is
our
that from?
Slenderverse.
Is that from something? What is that?
That's from Valeria Santiago's video essay about the Slenderverse, which most people in the Slenderverse consider to be kind of a core work explaining what it is.
She's doing it on purpose. She's dropping shit on purpose. All right.
Well, folks, yeah, it's
I'm
been.
sorry for my loud dogs.
Your dogs are lovely, and all pets are welcome.
Indeed.
In the
Indeed.
out of game chats, that's for sure. Pretty sure that's what
Absolutely.
out of game chats are for. It's just pets. But no, seriously, thank you guys so much for a truly wonderful time. You know,
Absolutely.
it's I've learned through trial and error that it's not always the best decision to go, oh my god, I'm a fan. When you're a fan, it does tend to send people off in a weird way. And also, I had my mistake with that, so we're putting that away forever. But it's been a really surreal experience talking to you all, knowing that like the reason I'm doing a PhD is because I was watching your work, you know, in 2016, 2014, 2012, you know. So it's wild how the
PhD in what?
English with a focus in digital media, but I study how alternate realities are constructed and like believed in. So I would not be doing that if I hadn't been an absolutely wild, weird teenager who was like, you know what I want to do in my life? Watch every single Slenderman series I can find without any regard for how good they are. Lots of
fun of
Hey,
it.
well, it's paid off. I don't have a PhD. Evan, do you have a PhD? Do any of you guys have a PhD? No.
I still can't
I got
explain what they
sick.
are to anybody, by the way. I like talk to people about ARGs and they're like, and my advisors are like, what are those again? We've been working with you for 4 years, but we're not quite sure. And I'm like, what the fuck?
You're like, I will replace you. Be gone, dinosaur.
Would you like to
You
play
just gotta
a game?
hammer out that elevator pitch and just don't even think about it when you say it. Just like, you know, just like you can just rattle it off.
Oh my god, I wish. No, there's anyway, that's for another time. That's not for right now as we're wrapping
Yes.
up. I do want to just ask you guys, hey, are you working on anything right now that you'd like to tell the audience about? Anything at all, really? You know? Plug your work, please.
Not really.
Resounding
Really,
silence.
I'm kind of just kind of just working all the time. I sort of I'll say this. There's something I don't want to say working on because this makes it sound like a more active process, but I had a concept for something that I started researching and I got way lost in the weeds until it sort of like became something entirely different. And so I'm not sure if I will be able to do anything with that, but I would like to at some point. But it's still way too amorphous to be able to give any kind of like description to. So for now, I'll just say no.
Fair.
I've been designing I've got t-shirt ideas and I've been designing some. I put some of them out there, but I want to rework an actual store, not like a brick and mortar store. Fuck that. I don't have the money for that shit. But selling stuff online, I want to organize it into something good. But I'm creating these silly little witch shirts that I think are yeah. So just silly, and I got some other cool ideas for t-shirts. Just goofy shit, you know what I mean? But stuff that I think is funny or cool. So I wanna I just suck at the other end of it. I like creating stuff, but I suck at marketing and monetizing. Clearly, we never did any merch for EMH. Could have made some fucking money, but we just didn't, right? I suck at that part of it. So I have to get together the kind of a store and then something easy that people can click on and be like, that's what I want to buy. There you go. You know, so
You and I have similar tastes, so when you get that going, let a guy know.
okay.
Absolutely.
I think you can see some of them on my Instagram, maybe. I can't remember. I modeled some at some point, but I can't remember where or when. But yeah, I'll probably post it on stuff like Twitters and stuff like that.
All right.
Yeah, on my
definitely drop a
Instagram,
link.
there's one for I don't know if you can see it. It says summon
yeah.
incubus, and it is a little witch summoning a demon to help her open a can of pasta.
Very
Like
Bro,
a jar
that's
of
me. I'm an
a jar of
incubus.
pasta sauce. Yeah.
I'd be pissed if somebody summoned me for that, but hey, there we
Well,
go.
that's why he's upset because that's not what he's for. But she's like, just open the pasta sass. You know what I mean? So it's dumb shit. You know what I mean? That's what I like to make.
Yeah.
Before we leave, are you guys into video games? Are you guys gamers? I assume you're gamers.
Absolutely.
Any of us gamers in here?
Twitch life has has forced me to become more of a gamer than I. God damn! I just said that word.
What's your
yeah,
what's your
basically.
what's your current game obsession?
Oh boy.
Oh geez, surviving. But no, it's no, it's just VTube in life is very weird because there's all sorts of shit that goes through the circuit. Lethal Company was hot as hell for a bit and still is hot. Then there was
fun.
content warning. Fortnite is always on the table for people. VTubers love Final Fantasy 14.
Oh yeah.
I'm just over here looking for a date and time in which I can actually enjoy a video game myself without looking at the desktop with live on. So
Does it kind of ruin it for you?
It
Like
really
streaming
makes it.
games?
The weirdest shit about it now is I think about sitting down and playing a game for myself, and it goes in my brain, yeah, but it's not productive. And it's like, but it used to not be
See-
that way. It used
see,
to
that's-
not be that way in my brain.
You know
And
what
now it
sucks?
is.
That's
Monetizing your
everywhere,
hobbies
too.
trap.
Yeah.
Yes, monetize, and it's. I honestly, I think the same way. Where I'll be drawing and shit, and I draw a lot, and I write a lot, and I don't do anything with it, and my whole family's like, oh, you do this, you do that, but it kind of sucks the fucking joy out of it. You know what I mean? And then it's almost like, what are you left with? Just more work. Like you just working
Yeah.
again. Like I kind of fuck that. Like I'd rather make kind of whatever money. And then be able to sit down in my time and fucking love something. You know what I mean? I think you should play a game. Fuck them. Fuck the people who want to watch your shit. Fuck them. Fuck them. Fuck them. What they don't. You need to relax. Go play your fucking game. And when
Everyone
you're
in
like,
chat,
oh, but
get out. This is
get
for
out.
us
Fuck
now.
you. Get
Leave.
the fuck out of here, you fucking scoundrels.
Chat,
what you're
there's gonna be a
doing.
week where I
Look
say
what you're doing to
fucking, and
him.
I'm gonna be on Minecraft all week, and you're not gonna see what I'm building for once, or watch
Yeah,
me try
you
to find
will, and
diamonds.
they'll
All
never
right,
get to fucking
listen.
see it.
You heard
Listen-
them. You heard them. Fuck it.
Li-
I'm sorry. I've
listen-
got to pass.
Mods
Listen
ban
to the-
everyone.
At the
Did
time,
the viewer
one of
count
my
just go up? Who is that?
my-
You heard me.
One of my most beloved memories of video games, I was playing Fallout New Vegas. Have you guys ever played that game?
Oh yeah,
Hell
of
yeah.
course.
All right, Fallout New Vegas. I'm a big Fallout nerd, right? I love Fallout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything post-apocalyptic, I'm always a cannibal. It's good. But one of my biggest accomplishments in Fallout New Vegas, do you know the Tops, not the Tops, I'm sorry, the Lucky 38 casino? Okay, you go to the casino and he gives you a house that you get to live in, and it has your apartment, it has a cafe. I took there are toy dinosaurs in the game called Dinky Dinos, and I collected like 1,000 of them throughout the game. Now, I was unemployed at the time for like a couple months, so this is all I did. Horribly depressed, right? Horribly depressed. But this was like what I did, and I collected 1,000 Dinky Dinos, and I went to, there was a cafe, like a rotating restaurant cafe, and I set up all the Dinky Dinos into little seats, and I gave them little plates, and I put food, and I put drinks, and I built stories, like I put like magazines and like a gun next to one of them because he was a hitman, and like one that was like a camera because he was a cop spying on a drug deal that was, right, it was fucking nuts. It was nuts. And you went further into my apartment where I had a bathtub full of human meat, and I had like the trophies. I ate everybody, like all of the major, remember there's like Caesar, the douchebag Caesar, there's the douchebag fucking president ass wagon of the NCR, and then there's the fucking man, Mr. House. Right? I fucking ate everybody. Like I killed and ate fuck them all. Like it's mine. New Vegas is mine, baby. And so I ate everybody, and I had their clothes, and so I had trophies of their clothes laid out everywhere, and the guns. And so I set this shit up, bro. I spent hours with this shit. Hours. Nobody's seeing that. That's mine. That's for me. Fuck 'em. Do you think if I did a tour of that would probably get a lot of views on YouTube? Fuck you. You're not seeing my special Dinky Dino collection. That's for me and my friends who are also unemployed and depressed. And it brought them joy. It brought me joy. And that's the important part.
The
Absolutely.
Dinky Dinos get to be your little secret. If you're
My
real,
little
whenever someone's really getting let into the inner circle, and they
Really.
come over to your place, that's when you get to go. Check this out.
It's
Want to see my Dinky Dino collection?
It's time I show you my Dinky Dinos and what I have done with them. And they go, "I'd like to leave, please." And I say, "You can't." And I pull the lever.
You say, "Watch out for the meat."
And then they say, "Well, I
Don't
should have
touch my
expected
bathtub
this."
meat.
I'm saving that for
Don't touch
later.
the bathtub meat.
So Nick, go make yourself a bathtub full of human meat and start putting your dinky dinos in order. And fuck
It would
whoever.
get me back to my roots. Yeah.
Fuck the people who tell you need to make money off of that. There's money everywhere, bro. There's money everywhere. Fuck it. Just go sell crack or something. Like, don't worry about it. Just go get a bunch of Vicodin and sell it. Who cares, right? I'm just kidding, NSA. It's all a joke. But you'll make
You're
money.
asking about our location experiences. I mean, there was more than once where
Uh-oh. My
we were
internet
dodging
sucks, but everybody
the
else's
dodging the
internet
guys
sucks.
that were like ripping the copper out of the walls in the abandoned buildings. So yeah, you can do that. Go
Yeah, just go do that. Fuck it. Who cares?
It would be a nice change of pace, wouldn't it?
Keep your joys and your hobbies for you.
This is all
You know?
copper pipe I
Yes.
stole while almost killing people right next to my bathtub full of meat.
You could always become a drifter and just take people's money.
Yeah.
They'll
them
give
and
you
take
money
their
for bringing in glass drink bottles. I don't know if you knew
That's
that.
true. That's
Yeah.
true.
Jesus.
5 cents a pop.
Or you could get those.
Stereotypical demon arc coming up.
What are those things? What is the fucking things under your car that people are always stealing now? If you
Catalytic
got
Oh,
a
the
Converters.
catalytic converters.
catalytic converters go for a decent amount of money. A human kidney is like a lot of money. I think it's like $50K or something on the black
Hell
market.
yeah. Financial tips.
There you go.
I appreciate
Well, you can
every
get
word.
DIY guides for anything on YouTube now. So if it comes to
Absolutely.
the kidney thing, you can probably somebody's probably got an instructional video.
DIY kidney removal.
Yeah,
It's still better financial advice than investing in crypto.
Yeah.
it is.
Yes, absolutely,
Sell your
absolutely.
kidney.
I would rather sell someone else's kidney than invest in crypto. Absolutely,
Mhm.
that is correct.
Oh shit.
Oh no.
God.
Well, and with
This is really
that,
amazing.
What a delightful conversation.
do we have anyone we want to raid? We did not prep that at all. Nick,
No,
you raid
I'd lo-
people all the time. Is there someone we should raid?
Oh shit. Let's see. Is there
BlackRock
anybody?
headquarters.
No.
You know what? Hold on. Let me take a quick peek. See if there's there's another spooky type on YouTube. Does a lot of streaming stuff. Currently doing a spooky road trip stream. It's going to be Goose _ Boose. BOOSE.
Goose boost. The
Yes,
goose
Goose
boost.
Boose. And now, of course, you have to compose a raid message.
Yes.
So something that you feel is right. Your choices are something on point and Slenderverse or bathtub of human meat.
Bathtub of human meat. I think that has to be the
No,
move.
that's mine. That's for me.
Oh, right. Sorry. No. Yeah.
You've made a huge
With it.
mistake, Evan. You've shared your special. Yeah,
Now I'm going to be getting people are going to send me videos of their Dinky Dino collections,
Oh no.
and then I'll have to enter like a Highlander situation where there can only be one. And that sucks. That just takes a lot of my time.
Yeah. What an inconvenience.
then
Sucks.
they say, "Hey, let's compare our collections," and you're like, "I deleted it already."
Yeah.
Oh my-
I may not know where that Xbox 360 hard drive is. That's where it is. And I may or may not know where it is. I don't know. It's somewhere.
Is that what it is? Are we all looking for Evan's Xbox 360 hard drive in their stream?
Bathtub meat.
Can you
That's
please
the
direct
first
me to
game.
the nearest bathtub full of meat?
It's a perk on the cannibalism where after you eat them, you get to pocket some of their meat. It's like a perk, okay? It happens. And what am I supposed to do with 600 pounds of meat? I can't carry it. It's too heavy.
Absolutely. It's perfectly logical, Evan. We all agree with
Fill
you.
my bathtub, then I can
Yeah.
lay in it.
Where else are you
You
gonna
know-
put it?
You talking about your DIY project just reminded me of the last time I ever played a Bethesda game, which was it was like the only time I ever got really into Skyrim, and I got really into whatever the DLC was that let you build the houses. So
Yes.
I bought all the houses in the game like as I was going, but then I also built all the houses, and then finally,
them?
all of them, yes.
Holy shit, that took you
Because
forever.
I need a house in every city, and I got
my
the
God.
fanciest house in the fanciest city. You know, the big one that's like, you know, in like whatever the one in the top left corner of the map, the big
Yep.
one. And I walk outside onto my balcony overlooking the ocean, and then I look away from the TV around my shitty apartment, and I make my guy sit down in a chair, and I exit the game, and I uninstall it, and I never touched it again. I was like, what the fuck am I doing?
I had that moment with Dead by Daylight back in the day. It's like, because that's another streamer circuit kind of game, and I went back to it, and everybody feels the same way. It's like, that's the X that you really wish you would stop calling, is Dead by Daylight. Because back in the day, I really did just, there was a period where I was burnt out from Nightmind for a bit, and I was enjoying the idea of, let's just sit and play a game, let's just binge it until we feel it again. And so I sat down and I prestiged Trapper, I prestiged Pig, I prestiged Clown. And at the end of it, I kind of looked at the screen and I asked myself, what the fuck am I doing? This got me nothing. Let's go back to making videos.
It refreshed you.
People getting, yeah, it did. It
It lit a
refreshed
fire
you.
under your ass, as they say down
Yes.
south.
Yes.
Lit a fire under you.
It did give you it's like taking a nap when you're like, man, I shouldn't have taken that nap. Yeah, you should have. Yeah, you should have. You needed that nap. Now you're ready to go.
Yeah,
Beginning of
I
the
had to
pandemic
get
Stardew
sick
Valley.
of something to get back to it.
Mhm.
It refreshed me.
Mm-hmm.
We could do $20. It's classic.
$20.
Classic.
Give me $20. Let's do it.
All right.
That's classic.
Let's do it.
Wonderful. All right, chat. We're gonna
That-
raid over.
You might understand it too.
All right.
Just text. Give me $20. I want a wall of $20. As many $20 as you
Absolutely.
can. Only 20s. Nothing else. All right.
All right.
Is there any? I'm realizing also that I haven't done this ever.
All
Quick,
right.
say something interesting.
Wow. What a prompt.
You can
That's the question of the night.
if you see a black bear, you can usually fight it off. Brown bears, you don't want to do that. You want to play dead, and polar bears, you're just gonna die.
Ooh, I've heard that.
Working with so much purple while making Everyman Hybrid Explained in tune with Habit's love of purple did increase my love of purple that was already existing in Nick's design and really made it a thing for me of the purple and green, actually.
That's
I see
only
that you're
because we
wearing
had
it
purple.
now.
We only had purple duct tape available when we started using the duct tape, and so then it just became a thing. And then Jeff only ordered purple duct tape from then on out.
Thank
my
God.
God.
it
You know
was
what's
like
really
zebra
funny is
print.
when I was recreating the habit box from one of the
That
trials.
looked really good.
for the doc. Oh, thank you. But
Yeah, that looked really good.
I could not find purple duct tape for the life of me. I went to I wanted to buy it in person because I was doing shopping, like I was buying all the props.
Mhm.
I 6 hours. I was going to different stores, and every one I was like, "Is there purple duct tape? Is there purple duct tape?" Never, not once.
They're like, "What the
Damn.
fuck's wrong with you, bro?
I had
Just
to buy
have
it
duct
online.
tape." And you're like, "I need it purple." You shut up and give me purple.
They're like, "Is this light purple painter's tape okay? Is blue tape okay?" No.
It's not the same. You never know what'll sort of unexpectedly become your signature. Just because, like, one time I was looking for some info on like the camera that we used. I don't remember what specifically I was looking for, but I found like a review of that camera from when it first came out, and it was talking about it was okay, but it was talking about some of the drawbacks, and it was like all of the things it was naming as downsides were like things that I consider like what makes Marble Hornets like look so distinctive. It was like talking about how the sensor's not so great, so a lot of the colors are washed out, and that just made me think, well, that's why it looks like that. It wouldn't be the same if it didn't look like that. So, you know, that became the signature look just because of the camera that we happen to have. You never know what'll end up. Yeah, you never know what'll be your signature. Whether it's a handy cam that's already too old, whether it's purple duct tape, you never know.
Yeah. It
Or a
adds,
jacket that
character to it.
A jacket I found at the thrift store, you know.
Sideburns.
Yeah, that I kept. that I kept because in high school I played the dentist in Little Shop of Horrors, and I just
yes.
and I just kept the sideburns for whatever reason, and it was sort of like I had them in the first show along with that goofy ass chimp shirt from Spencer's Gifts, and it was like I was already seeing enough comments in the Something Awful thread about my sideburns. I was like, well, it's too late to get rid of them now. I guess I'm stuck with these.
Part of the
All right.
character now.
All right.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Roll with the punches.
And with that, this time we actually raid $20. So I'll no
They'll be
only
battling it
$20.
out.
No bathtubs of meat. We have
No
to
bathtubs
keep
of
that.
meat.
Those are
off,
mine.
off limits. Off
You
limits.
leave my bathtub meat alone. you
Leave Evan's
scoundrels.
bathtub meat. It's his.
Fuck out of here, you parasites.
Oh my god.
All right.
But please come back to watch
Incredible.
the next installment of
Yes.
this documentary.
Yes.
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 Sweet.
Thank you all.
Friday, correct?
Thank you so
And
much
then go
for
fuck
coming to this
yourselves.
stream. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming to the stream. Remember, new documentary episode next Friday, 6/21, 4 p.m. again. We will be doing another after show, same time, 6:30 p.m. PST. Hopefully, doesn't get
Yes.
delayed next week. And and we're gonna do it again the following week as well on 6/28. So keep coming back. And thanks so much for being here.
Until next
Thank you.
time, don't get hunted.
Thanks for
by
having
Slenderman.
me.
Until next time.
Yeah.
Adios.
Go give
Bye.
20
Bye.
Bye.